7 o'clock, mine makes only 7 o'clock.
Mine says
It does. Okay. Yeah, it was recording. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Let's call the meeting, the Bristol Select Board meeting to order for Monday, May 13th at 7 o'clock. Review agenda for additions, removal, or adjustments of any items.
None that I'm aware of.
Public forum. This is an opportunity for citizens to briefly share comments and concerns with the board not already on the agenda, and nothing more than 5 minutes. Anybody have anything
May I
to
ask
say?
that Doug not be allowed to speak? He wanted to know about
Listen,
the world.
Listen, I could take up way more than 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I asked Peter how long it was, and I said I tried to limit my comments at 4.5.
How fast can you speak?
Not that fast.
You've used 30 seconds already.
You got the floor, Doug.
Well, so as a lot of you probably know, my daughter works with the State of Vermont Historic Preservation Office. And I asked her to give me some bullets for, and she said, Dad, I can't do that. But she did send me some stuff. So as you know, the bandstand, my comments are about the bandstand.
Okay. I assumed that's where you were going.
So it is a historic structure. It's on the state registry of historic buildings. It's also, I believe, now I could be wrong about this, in the downtown historic district. So that actually encumbers even more than the state stuff in terms of what you can do. So before you move forward, you just need to deal with that. So in looking at it, of course, a lot of you can't remember. I wasn't born when it was first built, but pretty close. I'm kind of bragging about that. So
It wasn't there though, was it?
It was.
I thought it was over by the fountain. Yeah, I think it was over by the fountain.
It may
No?
have been the older one that was built before, but it was built in 37, right where it is. So, in thinking about this, a couple of things that came to my mind are that over the course of many years, Bristol's made some, in my mind, terrible mistakes in terms of not respecting and maintaining and appreciating historic structures, including, if you think about this, the Bristol Inn. I'm old enough to have gone to the Bristol Inn to have breakfast before it was torn down. I was awful mistake. But at the time, everybody wanted a new supermarket, which is what happened. So they paid Paradise and put up a parking lot for the supermarket. Joni Mitchell, by the way, in case you guys don't remember. So, but there are other ones. I mean, that's just to name one. They tore down half the old high school. When if they kept it, it'd be great for elderly housing here. Perfect spot, easy access to all services, and walkable. But no, they had to tear it down. Another big mistake, in my opinion. But there are other ones, and there you can decide whether they're mistakes or not. But I also thought tearing down the old Catholic Church was a mistake. And of course, the new one is probably a historic structure now, because it's 50 years old probably. But there are others. So I got to thinking about this, and I saw all the comments in Front Porch Forum. A lot of them had to do with what can we do that doesn't involve tearing down the bandstand? A lot, and quite a few of them involve building ramps. Go over and look at it. It's impossible to build a ramp there and make it look good. If you go to Richmond's round church, one of the things they did is they built up about 10 or 12 feet away from it. They built up a thing and make a little bridge to it so you can go in. So you walk up this path, go across this little bridge, and yeah, go ahead. But I was looking at the playpen. You know what the playpen is, right? The other structure on the green.
No. Come on.
Oh, come on, guys, wake up. Stay with me.
You're just talking about the round barn. Come on.
Well,
Can't
I'm
jump from
talking
there to
about
there.
what other people have done
Yeah.
to make ramps
Yep.
more
Mhm.
palatable.
Yep.
I think they're awful in most cases. If you look at the playpen, that one is 48 feet long. And they had to build up a ramp of earth about a foot high before they start going up the ramp. So, and it's, you know, it's 48 feet long. It does zigzag, there's a couple landings. 48 feet. Somebody, there was a woman on Pleasant Street, I can't think of her name, suggested taking it around the bandstand. You'll have to go really- You need 48 feet of ramp, which doesn't quite go around the bandstand. But that's just, it destroys the historic features of the building. You know, when they did all the work on this thing to make it more accessible, one of the first things they did, not the first thing, one of the things they did was tore down the god awful ramp in between us and Park Filling Station. I don't know if anybody ever used that. I did a couple times because I was painting something. But that thing was terrible.
Yeah.
And not useful. So this is sort of an existential question. What do we value more? Accessibility or historic buildings?
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Oh, absolutely.
I think we're probably gonna have this as an agenda item, so
Not
at
tonight.
not
Well, I
tonight, but
just-
at
I wanna
some
give you
future
my
one. Okay,
Sure.
okay. I just didn't wanna get into full-blown discussion about it, because at some point it's gonna be on the
It doesn't
agenda.
have to be. These are
Yeah.
just my personal
Mhm.
opinions.
Mhm.
And,
Okay,
so I've got Joni Mitchell's song here. I wanted to. Don't it always seem to go when we pay paradise and put up a parking lot? Joni Mitchell, 1971, Yellow Taxi. Probably none of you guys probably remember that song. Oh, good. Is that years old as me? Okay, so my
It's
daughter
it's
said.
I'm sorry, I
timeless.
remember that song.
It's a timeless.
Good. Because it has a more resonance if you think about it in terms of the Bristol Inn, because that's exactly what they did. They paved paradise and put up the parking lot. But let me just get to a couple other things here. So Caitlin said, my daughter, she said, Dad, don't include me in the conversation.
Yeah, right, you just threw her under the bus.
She said, one of the things that you can do is think about alternative accommodations or mitigations to accessibility. And she said, well, what did they do during COVID? And I said, well, they had COVID by the fountain on the ground. She said, well, they can do that. If they don't, or if the band is so unhappy with the way that the bandstand is, let them do that. So that is an alternative that doesn't have to destroy the historical heritage of the bandstand on the green. And by the way, if any of you are members of the 251 Club, which my daughter and I are, we're going to around and see all the towns, and there are tons of towns with bandstands. This is one of the nicest ones. The green is one of the nicest greens. Okay, that's it for comments.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they wanna talk about that's not on the agenda? Okay. We will move on. Department head roundtable. Here we go. Hey Brett, if you're on, let's let you jump in first.
Good evening. Can you hear me, Michelle?
Sure can.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'll keep this very brief. Be considerate of all your time. Just a couple highlights. For your awareness, this Wednesday, the 15th, the fire department was invited by, I'm pronouncing this correctly, Agilitas Energy, the new solar array structure up on Cane Hill property. They're the company who own or responsible for the batteries, not the solar arrays themselves, but we were invited for a walkthrough of that site. They're going to give us an orientation to the fire suppression systems that are in place there. But I just would like to comment that this company in particular, they have literally been in communication with me since I think it's 2021. I have this email thread going with them. They've just been very transparent about this entire process with the fire department, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. So, but we're excited to go see that and what that's all about Saturday night. Bristol is going to be sending one of their firefighters down to the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland, the weekend of June 21, 22, and 23. This is for the annual 3-state weekend. This firefighter will be attending a course called Strategy and Tactics for Initial Company Operations. And ultimately, the town of Bristol has fronting the funding, but the Ray E. Davison Training Foundation, which is a part of our Addison County Firefighters Association that we belong to, ultimately will be funding the majority of this expense. So we're excited about that, and for this firefighter to have this amazing opportunity. The Conex box training structure, I think you all know all the permits are in place, Act 250 permits, etc. A couple of weekends ago, we had a walkthrough of the site with your very own select board member and Fire Peter Heffernan, who's going to be doing the site work for this Conex box structure. So anyway, we can expect to see the ground broken on that in the coming weeks. So we're very excited about that. One of our capital equipment purchases recent was the new battery powered extrication tools. We're very pleased to say everyone has been trained on those tools and they are now in service. If you recall, probably a couple months ago now, I came to you all about purchasing a utility pickup truck as we look at our fleet and the use of our vehicles and consolidating our large vehicles that have very large price tags attached to them. So I've solicited a couple of quotes. If all goes well, I hope to come before you at either, if not your first meeting in June to discuss that with you all. This past Saturday, the 11th, the fire department participated in the statewide Operation Mayday recruitment initiative. This is the second year in a row the state has done this. I'm not sure if it's a result of this day. However, I did today just meet with a prospective candidate who is a Bristol resident and is actually just wrapping up their firefighter certification this week. So we're excited about the possibility of bringing this young person on board. So hopefully you will see this person on your agenda in a couple of weeks. And if you didn't all know, we, the fire department, are working with the town, specifically the town treasurer, to come into compliance with your direct deposit. Don't quote me on this. I'm not sure if it's a policy, but we're trying to get everybody on direct deposit. I know some folks are grandfathered, but all but 5 of our firefighters are on board with that, and we just got to finish up the paperwork. So we're excited about that and helping out you all and helping to keep the book straight. So unless you all have any questions for me, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Jill?
Hey, it's me inside. He's right here next to me.
Hi, Cy.
I think we have a water commission part of this meeting.
Yeah.
So my only question would be to Brett, if there were ever to be a firefighting foam used to fight a fire at the solar array that's just above our water source, would that have a PFAS in it? Because that's just above our water supply.
The fire department does not use any foam that includes that chemical.
That's beautiful. Perfect answer. And it's not in our water. So if you're fighting with our water, you are nice and clean. Yay.
Believe it or not, we are very conscientious about the environment. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, all other items we can cover when it goes to the water commission. Thank you.
Okay. Bruce, since we're on.
Hey, with the warmer weather, we continue to stay busy.
You mean more busy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Eric.
We got the Mac just about all done. Colby and Mike finished that up today, so the new oil pan's back on it, back and ready to go. We took care of the wings, pressure washing, put them all away. Just plugging along, getting stuff, spring stuff done.
You finished the upper notch, right, or the notch, or whatever you're working on up there?
Did the hydro seeding on the notch road, yeah, for that, so that's all done.
Okay.
From the bridge down to 116, that looks really good. You know, the high bridge down to 116, that. Or stone.
Notch Road, yeah.
Notch Road, that looks really good.
Thank you, Justin.
There's gonna be something.
Sharon.
Thanks for letting me come in.
Hey, Doug.
You're welcome anytime, Doug. I just had,
No,
I
don't say
just
that.
had to give you a hard time.
Sharon.
We're waiting to hear if there's when the next vote is for the MAUSD budget. We haven't heard anything yet, they haven't decided. We're plodding along with dog registrations, we haven't broke 200 yet, so there's a lot out there that haven't been registered, so hopefully within the next week, we'll be sending out reminders. I will be doing a sewer bill here in the next week. Next month, we'll be doing another water bill. So we're just moving along.
Okay. Okay, Jolene, we'll let you take back over. We're on consent agenda.
No, and we
Oh,
have
you
another,
still
we have
got-
another.
One more
department
Oh,
head.
sorry.
Justin.
Justin, I
Didn't
am
even
sorry,
notice you there.
Justin. I was writing down names too, so I wouldn't forget anybody.
Still brand new and learning the job. I love it every day, finding new things, and I'm excited to continue to help the town.
And he's got a smile on his face.
Every day.
That goes away.
Not with this guy.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Welcome to your first
Yeah, so
meeting.
Just say Justin reached out to me a couple of times and I just told him his liaison is the end, so he knows that now, so he can reach out.
Okay, you're up.
Okay,
Can't
consent
pass it
agenda,
up.
approval use of up to $1,000 from the technical reserve fund to purchase a new computer, monitor, and webcam for the new assistant town clerk and assistant town treasurer's workspace. Well, it's not a new assistant town clerk, but it's his new workspace, so. Approve the Bristol Rescue Squad's coin drop application for July 3rd, 2024 in the vicinity of 63 East Street, vicinity of 76 West Street, and 45 Moncton Road per the police chief's conditions. Approval of grant application authorization request from the rec department to the Vermont Community Foundation for a $3,000 request to support the Elderly Eagles. Approve the grant authorization request from the town administrator for the V-Trans bicycle and pedestrian program for up to $48,000 to conduct a West Street sidewalk scoping study from South Street to the Creamy Stand at Maple Street.
Make a motion to approve all four.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion on any of the four?
Yeah, question on the coin drop. Why are they doing the third instead of the fourth? Is the parade on the third this year?
No, parade's on the fourth.
I'm just curious. They typically do it in the morning
Morning
before the
For the
parade.
parade, yeah.
So I don't know if that's
Does it matter?
Typo?
I mean,
When is the
does it make a
fourth? Is that
difference in
Sunday
the
or Monday?
approval?
does it make a difference whether, in the approval? No.
Well, it might to the state if they don't have approval for the 4th.
Fourth is a Thursday.
leaving a Wednesday.
Yeah.
I just asked, because if it was a Sunday, they don't have the, traditionally, Bristol's not had the fourth on Sunday, the parade because of church services.
No, but Cecil's on the committee.
I know he is.
Parades.
Well, that's why I just asked what they are. I don't know, that's what they put in for?
Are we okay if it actually is the fourth?
Or the
Approving
third?
that? Can we approve like the
I'm
third
fine
or
with
the
it.
fourth?
I'm fine with it being the fourth. I just,
Okay.
when I read
Yeah.
that earlier, I questioned why it was the third.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, I don't see the traffic on the third, but this is gonna be on the fourth.
Do they have to get state approval?
Yeah,
Right.
no, because the road is
It's ours,
ours. They just have to
technically.
sign
Okay.
it. They have to sign it.
Sign off, right. Well, they might want to just make sure to put the right date in there if they're asking for.
I mean, we
getting
could
signed off.
say third or fourth. I'm fine with that
Mhm.
if a mistake was made.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah, I
that's-
just don't know why, I mean, what's the time?
Usually it's 9 to the parade starts.
Yeah. well,
8 till the
that-
parade starts.
Right.
This one doesn't include the time.
Unless they're thinking they're gonna do it prior to fireworks, but that would be a nightmare.
yeah. And it'd be dark, it'll be
Yeah.
kind of dark.
Well, there's still time if you wanna wait, if you wanna bump this to the next meeting to.
No, I would just confirm with
Yeah.
Will, say, is it the 3rd or the 4th?
Well, it
And
might
explain
be
the
a
time if it's
concern,
the third.
a concern if it's the 3rd, we need to know the
Right.
time.
I guess so, yeah.
Because traffic is a nightmare.
Leading up to the fourth, to the some fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the details aren't on there, maybe we push it to the next meeting, since there is time,
There is time.
just to confirm.
Okay.
Who's,
So,
what do you,
Brett's got his
oh,
hand.
Brett's got his hand up.
Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, I just got off the phone with the rescue squad's chief, Will Elwell. It is the 3rd they want.
Do you have a time? Did he mention a time?
Sorry, I didn't get the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Call it back.
Okay.
We have concerns if it is a particular time timing with the fireworks, I don't know.
Well, it's just that if it's early enough, it's not a problem, but
Right.
if it's later, as fireworks are letting out.
Yeah.
Well, on the 3rd, most people don't have off. They're gonna be going to work. I mean, I don't get it off. I mean, if it's Monday and the 4th is a Tuesday, then you might have it off. I can see that, but they're just gonna catch people unless they're doing
want
it
it-
in the evening.
Suggestion to the firework, do you want to just say no later than 8 o'clock, they're out of the road? It's a long day. They start at 8 in the morning. I don't know when they're done.
Right, no, yeah.
They don't put a time, so
Mhm.
Well, I think we need.
we'll just wait till the next meeting.
In the previous year's application, it was 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And it was,
5 to 8.
yeah, 5 p.m.
No.
Well, that's what
They've
it said.
I know, but they've never had it on
They've
a
never
third.
had a 3rd.
So
So
it
is
was
it
in
on the
3 years ago.
Huh, I don't ever remember it being in the,
Yeah.
And it was on July 2nd. 3 locations.
The
Well,
mystery
the
gets
three-
deeper.
the 3 locations, I
Yeah.
understand, they've always
Right.
done the 3
Yeah.
Right.
locations. but-
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, maybe to do staffing or something, unless, if we can, and we have time. I'd
Right.
say, okay.
Will just got back to me. He said he'd like it 4:30 to 7:30 on the 3rd.
1:30 to 7:30.
Okay. Yeah,
Hey.
that's a little more
Well, he
information.
needs to be a little more specific.
I mentioned that at the beginning of the text thread.
It's a good thing
Yeah,
people
we-
have his cell phone number.
Consent agenda number 2, approve the Bristol Rescue Squad coin drop application for July 3rd, 2024, from 4:30 to 7:30 PM. I would assume that would be PM.
Yeah.
Vicinity of 63 East Street, vicinity of 76 West and 45 Moncton Road, per the police chief's condition.
That is fine with me.
Okay, you two made the motion in second. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have a quick question. What is that Bristol Elder Eagles?
It's the,
Used to be Club 50, and it's a senior group that meets Friday late morning upstairs.
It's one of the Bristol Rec programs.
Okay, okay.
Freddie Cannon started
Thank you.
it way back
Okay.
a couple years ago.
No, that's fine. I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't remember that
Yeah.
name though.
The Bees, Bristol Elder Eagles.
Questions about the computer? I asked in an email, is there a way we track inventory for the town's technology?
I sent you guys the,
Is there
Yeah, I
anything
did.
else other than what's in NEMRIC? Because it doesn't give you, my thinking was, be nice to have some sort of database that tracks, so we know when to upgrade and we know what's
yeah,
available.
Dominion
and
Tech
things
is
like
doing that.
Okay, they
As
do?
part of it, yeah.
Okay,
We get a
great.
monthly report.
Okay, excellent. And then for the email, I had a couple suggestions that were less confusing than the one suggested. assistant@bristolvt.org or assistant clerk at bristolvt as opposed to AT.
ATC, 'cause
Yeah.
it's also for assistant treasurer.
Right. But I think assistant could cover those, and it's maybe a better sounding one as opposed to ATC. But that's just a suggestion. We have obviously town admin and clerk and things like that, so it's nice to have ones that you can immediately know what that might be.
I agree. Okay. You want that part of a motion or no? It's not-
If that's okay, if other board members and the town staff are okay with that.
I think assistant would be, the word assistant is better than ATC. I would think alcohol, tobacco, and let's say the other one is firearm, ATF, so that could be alcohol, tobacco, and clerk. No offense. Yeah, I don't know. Just kidding. So,
I mean, you
You-
can shorten it by just saying ASST, assistant clerk.
Please don't do it.
What's that?
There's too much room for error there. An
Right.
assistant is
Okay.
good.
Yeah, I picked assistant, I've seen that other towns have done, use assistant, I did a little research. I saw either assistant or assistant clerk. So if anyone, if someone had a, you like, well, again, it gets too complicated. If
Yeah,
you're doing it
okay.
now. I would say, if you like assistant, any preference? Okay, so I would say,
Michelle, any?
with,
No,
okay, so with the, with
Fine with
that
that.
particular one, with the preference of using assistant at bristolvt.org for the email address.
Okay, any more suggestions on any other 4 or 3?
No, looks good, I'm very excited to
All
see
those in
number 4.
favor, please say aye.
Aye.
no,
Opposed? Okay.
My only delayed response to the assistant thing is that it might be confused with the administrative assistant. Which is
Does-
town, that's the town one. Town at
Okay.
bristolvt.org, and that is for the administrative assistant.
Okay,
So,
which we don't really,
Oh,
that,
yeah,
is that,
that's
that's
Gail.
Gail, right? It's Gail.
It's
The
Gail.
only one that has admin in it is hers,
yeah,
is Valerie's, and that could become confusing too if you just have assistant.
yeah.
So back to my comment, assistant treasurer clerk / clerk.
can't do
You
slash,
can't do
Or
slash.
hyphen or something.
no, I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah.
I think you either,
You could do
you
a
either want
hyphen,
assistant
but-
or you want assistant clerk. And if the role is, it is assistant clerk, I know treasurer is in there, but I don't, we can't put everything in there. So I would amend that to maybe, if you're concerned, assistant clerk.
A lot to type, but once you type it once.
Right,
it's
and
in there.
it's mostly just the link, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think it's clearer than ATC.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, we've already
Yeah.
made a
Okay,
motion.
we'll,
Is that getting-
we'll figure something out.
Okay.
Okay, regular business. Consider request to install 2 banners on Main Street to promote the 4th of July celebrations, one between Covers and the Bobcat Cafe and one between Snaps and Kimball's office. Well, Kimball's office, I should say. Okay. What's your pleasure?
Do we know what they're gonna look like? And are they,
I'll make a motion, so we get it on the floor.
Second.
Motion is second. Install 2 banners, okay? Yeah,
I think
Michelle.
that's why Cecil's here.
yeah, are the 2 banners are going up at the same time? They're not like different time frames, like one in June and one in July, whatever.
Two different sponsors.
Yes. The one that came on board last year, Vermont.
Construction.
Vermont Construction, roofing division wants to come back and do it again this year. And so their banner will go up between Covers and Bobcat, same as last year. And Jackman Bristol is gonna put up a banner, he's gonna sponsor the outhouse race down between the Wells Block and Snaps. We've got permission from both building owners. If you look at the cable that's between Snaps and, I guess would be the Dunshee Block, it used to be level. For some unknown reason, somebody moved it to the top of the Dunshee Block. Don't know who did it or why. Carol said it before, she gave permission for us to do it, but wants it level again. But she is going to have her guy bring the cable down so this level snaps and we'll put the banner up, same as we do the other ones. We do it early in the morning. I meet Randy there at 6 and we're out of there in 25 minutes. And that was the first time we did it. I think we'll be quicker this year.
Do you know what they're gonna look like, Cecil?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what they're gonna look like?
Well, Vermont Construction will be the same as last year. I haven't just, talked to Tim yet about the other one.
The only reason I ask is we didn't like the one last year.
Yeah,
We'd rather have
bigger.
Bristol 4th of July at the top and Vermont
Sponsor.
Construction underneath. The Bristol 4th bigger than, because last year, all you really saw was the Vermont Construction. That was really stood out, and Bristol 4th of July was really small underneath.
Valerie brought that up to me.
Mhm.
And see, all I saw was Bristol 4th of July. The Vermont Construction to me,
You got bad eyes, I don't know.
I didn't hear any complaints about it. Nobody in the front porch forum, usually if somebody's got a hair across their butt about something, it's all over the front porch forum. Similar to the bandstand, if you would, it's currently, that you guys discussed earlier tonight. I didn't see anybody on the front porch forum last year about it. A lot of people just said, hey, that's really good that somebody's, put money into the community. Support us. We had the misfortune of, of course, COVID got blamed for a lot of things. School, ARPA money, and the rising costs of everything. And our fireworks jumped on board, and our fireworks bill went from $6,000 to, I think we're up to $12,000 or $13,000 now. We swallowed, as a committee, we were able to swallow the first bump up to $7,500, and then we swallowed it again up to $9,000, then we bumped it up to $12,500. We just don't have those kind of funds. So we had a nice cushion of about $10,000 in our checkbook. And then, last year, we got that with those increases, we were down to where we had, like less than $3,000, and that's kind of scary, if rain comes or something, and it doesn't work out well. So anyways, the fact that Covers is, stepped up and did that pizza thing for us last month, which they're writing a check for us for $2,000, and then Tim didn't even blink an eye when I suggested. I'm not good about asking for money. I'm comfortable asking for it. I went over to Tim and I said, geez, we could, this is before I knew anything about Covers. And I said, it'd be nice if we could have another banner. He said, sure. How much? And I told him $2,000, never batted an eyelash. And so it's up. It'd be kind of tough to go back to rock construction. If you want, I can ask, do you want me to put some kind of parameters on the size for the Jackmans?
I think so. While I agree with the sentiment, I think it's a more detailed conversation to have. If we set parameters on what sponsor size can be, I think we'd want to have more information about it, not just for one group, but for all groups. We'd have to be inclusive. And I think we'd want to get some information about is it a percentage of the sign? Is the sponsor size? I think it's hard to do. I think I would have a difficult time deciding this evening what that might be. So I think maybe for this year, we would let it be the same as last year. And if we wanted to open a discussion about this, we would at a later date.
Yeah, I just think like you said, there's probably more to it. We let the high school put up a banner for the graduating seniors that says absolutely nothing about Bristol. So,
right.
I mean, you have to be, if you're going to encompass them all, you have to.
Right. And the idea from the sponsor's perspective is that
their name is
their name is up there. They've paid, quite a bit of money to have their business promoted. So I think it's a bigger discussion if we want to have it.
I just remember the discussion we had after it was up last
Yeah,
year.
that's
It
right.
wasn't just me.
Right,
So,
exactly. To me, the Vermont Construction Roofing Division, whatever it said, was bigger than.
It was prominent, yes.
Was bigger than what we wanted to promote.
Right.
July 4th.
Right.
Celebration.
Yeah, I think we would have.
I looked for pictures. I took one last year and then I erased it.
Right. We would have to have a document that
Can't believe Brother
details
Mark didn't take
what kind of parameters you would set for any banner that had sponsorship and how we would want that to be presented.
How long is it up, Cecil?
Well, I used to say from, right after Pocock was when I initially
Right.
put it up, but you guys moved to August.
Correct.
So I probably.
It'll be up for a long time.
no, it wouldn't be put up for a long time.
I would say ballpark, I think I put on the application June 22nd, and we'll take it down to, it's subject to Randy's availability, 4th is a Thursday, ideally, you'd probably take it down the following Monday or Tuesday.
So it's only up for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks,
Yeah.
3 weeks at the outside, yeah.
It's also, there aren't a lot of organizations that use that because it's very difficult to put up banners. And so, we only really have maybe 2 or 3, if that, a year that actually use. And I don't think that was the first time in a long time that the main street's been used for a banner. Just because it's expensive to do that. So I don't know if it's a huge.
So how long is the flag up?
I'm sorry?
How long is the American flag up over the post office?
Again, it's usually they put it up, depends on what day of the week before it falls on, I'm sorry.
In the afternoon of the 3rd, I think, don't they?
They try to do it the afternoon of the 3rd, depending upon the availability of Randy and his friends, sometimes it's the 2nd. It's usually the third, and then it comes down.
I thought it was, I wasn't asking a trick question, but how would this board feel if Randy Sargent came up on the 21st of June and put his cranes on the side of the road over there, put the American flag up for 3 weeks and advertised for 3 weeks above that flag that says cranes?
I would not, I would
I don't think we'd
not,
approve that.
above the
Or-
flag. I'd
Or
definitely-
leaving the, you know,
His name's on his truck.
names on his truck, and that's for 24 or 48 hours tops.
Right.
To me, we're selling the town. To me, I agree with Michelle. It was bigger than what we were promoting.
Right.
It said small letters underneath, and not that you have to squint out there to look.
If just flip flop
Construction.
the sizes.
Right.
You know,
But I think I don't think we can give
No, we can't right now.
detailed information about, it. But I think if you want to have it as a further discussion, I think we should.
We need to have it more than a
Right.
month at a time.
Yes.
Well, also, I'm not aware of any actual banner policy
no,
that
I'm sure we
exists.
don't have
We
any.
have the
Just,
application form.
The banner or banners.
We have an application form, but there's no corresponding policy that guides applicants on what's allowed and all the other parameters.
Other than they can't request an ongoing year after year after year,
So
but they have to come in
that would
each
also
year.
be a good place to start, is to
Right.
put one in place.
Because you have to have details that an organization can see and work with a designer, whoever's making the banner, to actually get specifics right. You know, we give a percentage, then that's something that somebody can work with, as opposed to like, it's gotta be smaller. That's not enough, I think.
Mhm.
That's not an answer.
Right.
It can be, it might not be the right answer.
It's an answer, right. So I would say, I think for this application, I don't think we have enough information to be able to make a decision about changing what would be on the banners for this year. Unless we wanted to see what they look like before they were.
Well,
put
we
up
already
this
know,
year.
he said for my
Right,
construction, it's gonna be the same,
We've
so.
seen one, but there's another.
You mean a mock-up, not the actual thing, because
Yeah.
Right.
we wouldn't ask somebody to actually manufacture them.
And then
change
say,
it.
nope, sorry.
Okay, what's the pleasure?
You gotta call for a vote.
No,
You entertain a motion?
You got a.
No, we already got a motion and a second.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Who was made that?
Me and-
Beaker made the motion and
Ian second.
Ian seconded.
Okay, all those in favor to consider installing 2 banners over Main Street from 4th of July and covers and Bobcat locations and Snaps and Kimball's locations. Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, ayes have it. Consider bids and total project cost for Pine Street stormwater drainage improvements and authorization to proceed. Valerie, I know you have a.
Yeah, hopefully folks had a chance to glance at the notes that summarizes the 1, 2, 3, 4 bids we received. Specifically for installation, the labor, the equipment, excavation necessary to install materials that are separate purchase.
Okay, good, because I'm looking at one, why is that number so different?
Yeah, so the materials are the materials. And what's on the agenda tonight is to select the bidder to do the actual installation. And so we've got 4 different quotes that also shows when they're available. And that may affect which ones you choose, because the lowest quote might not necessarily be available when we want them or need them, given the timeline for the project.
Okay. So.
So when do we need them?
I was just gonna ask that, what's our time frame? What's our time frame?
Now.
Sooner rather than later? Is it sooner rather than later, as soon as possible?
Yeah, so that way I can let Pikes know for grinding.
You need to know who's doing it, so you can let them know, or you can let them know the date.
Well, I need to know who's going to do it, because it tells on there as far as
So the
when they're
question,
available, so
your
then that
question-
way I can get pipes lined up to have the thing ground before that company comes in to do the work.
the question was,
Can we have
Is there-
somebody do it
is
in
there-
August?
is there a time crunch? Do we,
No, as far as that goes, there's no time crunch, as long as we get it done, so that way we get it paid back before the plant shut down, basically.
So August would work.
Yeah, August is fine.
And,
Okay.
and the pavement's just gonna be an inch and a half or 2 inches.
It's gonna be a
base.
2-inch base.
and then let it set a year.
Let it set a year and then top it the following year.
Okay, and as I mentioned before, this is just from basically Maple Street east to North Street on Pine, right? No work down on my end or,
Reshaping.
Reshaping your end, not no drainage, just gonna reshape it.
so when it comes down Munsell Avenue and comes off Bristol Bakery roof and takes out the driveways or down through the lawns, as it's doing right now, and it's been doing for ever since.
The only way to stop that is you would either have to have the Bristol Bakery put eaves on the roof and divert the water, or you'd have to put curbing on the other side of the road to hold the water from going off the road.
I know you guys
You
said,
can't you're not just gonna be able to stick a drain there, cause all that's gonna catch is a 2-foot area of water, and it's gonna, all the rest of it's still gonna go by.
And where are we gonna go with it? That's the other issue.
And the other issue is got no place to put it after we
Well,
collect
I remember when I drove a couple of years ago, at least 2 now, maybe 3 years ago, Alan and I went up and down that street with my golf cart. And he had talked about those big baffle chambers underneath between my driveway and Munsell Avenue, somewhere where Jess Berry lives. And then somewhere along the bakery, somewhere in that area before the bakery's loading dock is, from Munsell to the
Yeah.
loading dock. And try to capture, into 40,000 gallon these tanks or tubes or whatever they are.
The chambers.
Chambers.
it.
And because I know there's some neighbors here that want to speak on this because they've spoken to me about it,
Yeah,
and I want to do the whole street. I don't want to do half of it. And even if it means, I don't want to stop this August, or don't, by no means, but I'd like to have a plan in place. Even if we didn't have it and said, you know what, in early 25, we're gonna do it, and we wait another year to top it.
well, that's what I was just gonna say, if we're gonna do the other section, then I'd rather do it before we put the top on it. And just cut through the base. But that's the.
Cause you had said the last meeting, we may put a 2-inch top base on that and let it set 2-3 years.
Right.
So,
But you're still gonna have to consider on like your side of the road. If you don't put curbing down that side, you're not gonna catch the water that's still gonna go beyond the drains. That side is all gotta be curbed.
but if we can get that water that's coming off the roof to that big building, and Munsell Avenue is a big one. But
Right,
Munsell is
but
just
you're
like
still-
Maple and Taylor.
No, I understand what you're saying, but you're talking the roof is what, 50-foot wide? And you're trying to get that into a 2-foot area.
Thought that roof all was flat.
Yeah, that's a flat roof that discharges
To one side?
Into that.
to Munsell
To
Avenue.
Munsell Avenue.
Oh, okay, so that
Into
would
that-
be easier to
Into
corral.
that tube into the tube that's there now or somewhere else?
It just drops on the lawn, comes down the road, and
It's-
down the driveway into the garage.
I mean, when it pours, you ought to go out and watch it coming off that roof. I mean, it just goes onto a cement pad and down my house, down towards my driveway.
Okay. So that's easy enough to corral, we could put one of them things right there where it dumps.
Easy.
What?
Easy,
No, I mean,
huh?
it's simpler than trying to collect the whole 50-foot area.
Is there regarding this, is there a policy in terms of the town asking property owners to install things that would catch the water versus the town capturing the water as it falls from the roof? Have we done that before?
We can ask. I don't know what kind of reception we'll get
Right.
about capturing the water off the roof.
I mean, is it worth investigating that path versus
Well,
us digging up the
certainly
road?
would
Yeah, if
ask.
we're talking to
Either
Kevin,
way, yeah.
know.
Yeah, I do remember when Justin Jackman lived there, next to the Kimball's. His driveway was, he'd spoken to me quite a few times that the water coming off that big rough.
Okay.
I mean, we ended up fixing that. Well,
You
the
did
problem
do
was
some-
that 6-inch drain, the water was jumping the stone and going across the road.
Okay.
And we fixed that.
And then, was there a reason, so this quote we have here in this design, was there a reason it was just this area that we were focusing on versus the entire length of Pine Street? Since you're bringing the concerns about the amount of water coming off in these areas, is there a reason why we only focus on one part of it?
I don't know that, because nothing to Steve, because we switched engineers or what.
Okay.
Because I know Green Mountain was looking at doing the whole street possibly somehow. Alan, and you could ask Alan up there, but Lance has got a question, so.
Now, with the property over there with all the water discharge, they have to bring that property up to the new wastewater or stormwater codes. So he's gonna have to put in a collection system for that entire property.
He has a collection system for everything he redid.
But it has to be up to the new standards.
The
Is it
3 acre,
The new stuff.
The new
Yeah.
3 acre impervious soil.
cause he's got the, where they put the mountain health is now.
Yeah,
That goes into chambers in between Oliver's and Mountain Health, and then the parking lot goes into chambers. The parking lot goes into chambers in the corner of the parking lot, out through and under the loading dock.
so under
Okay.
those, that would be worth, asking the property owner to deal with his water that are causing all the issues. Because he's gonna be forced to do it.
Mhm. Justin, did you have a question earlier? I saw your hand up. Any more? I mean, I don't wanna not stop this. Let's at least get that, but let's not lose
Okay.
focus.
But do we lose if we just do half versus working on?
This is just half anyway. This was nothing on
No, I know, but I mean, do we,
Maple
not
West.
that we want to revisit it, but is it better for us to revisit and look at a whole street plan or not? We can do this part of it and then focus on this part.
I
of
would
it
like to see it all done so it all settles together, but that's,
Right.
I just, that we have right of way issues and everything on the other end,
Okay,
cause the road's not as wide.
Yeah, you don't have no place, as of right now, no place to dump the water.
So it has to stay.
So it has to stay there unless a landowner is willing to give up. Not give up, I shouldn't say give up, but
Right.
allow the town to run water onto their property.
And then it'll all be, the
Has to stay
issue,
where?
the issue with that is it'll all be in one place.
Yeah, it'd all be focused in one place, which you'd have to rip wrap, possibly put in a collection pond, and it's a lot more involved.
is the majority of the water coming from the Bristol Works property? Or what percentage?
Lucy would know more about that than.
It comes right off their roof, right down Munzel.
But is that property creating all of this water? Is it like 50% of the water that's?
It's creating a lot because on the other side of the Bristol Works Munson Lab South, there's a little knoll there before it comes
Yeah,
down onto
it's-
Pine.
The water's coming off the roof and there is a knoll on the road there.
Okay,
From about where you came out of the old Bristol Works.
yeah.
From where the
Onto
entrance is.
Munsell.
Yeah.
Then it starts, and
Heading down.
all of Munsell, that last 150 feet.
And then
probably.
the rest of it goes the other way, and that's why we have the problem down at the other end.
Well, and then down where Jess Berry's trailer is, across from Arnold Menard's
See,
driveway.
Tim
That's a lot.
Jackman's offered to take the water on the
Right.
other end.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
To get-
so I
to
guess
get
I
it
got a
off
question
there.
then, to help Lucy out. Would it be worth installing that last, catch basin that we have up there on the corner of Munsell?
Does it come off of there so fast that it's not even gonna get into the catch basin?
It'll go into the catch basin, and it'll be one of them dry wells like we're putting in, and it'll be just a dry well, there won't be no pipes coming out of it as of yet, until we figure out if we're gonna do the chambers or not, and then them could still feed into the chambers.
Yeah,
right.
But would it be worth adding the extra structure at the corner while we're doing this?
But if it's a dry well, where's the water go in there and just stay in it?
Yeah, it goes
Tries
through.
to
And then
guess
it
the
eventually
question-
seeps out?
Yeah, we have
okay.
one on the corner of Liberty and Fawn.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Does that one still work?
But that's only
Poured
a
it terrible.
regular.
Poor and terrible. It works.
Well, no, all
It works
is
on a sunny
is
day, great.
Is pipe, culvert, 2-foot culvert stands up with,
Okay, so it's not.
it's not one of them structures.
Do we
I was
have another one of those?
Yeah, we have
Oh,
one
we do.
left up to Peakers.
I
We
was-
got 4 of them up there right now, we're only
Okay.
using 3.
See, Peter, I was wondering about something that you and, when I was on the Mount Abe school board, you put in for the board, from Mount Abe, we put some, then we.
Yeah.
2 or 3 foot round pipe, hook them together in drains,
So if we have one of those, can we include it as part of this project?
I
or is
don't
that a
see
separate
why, I
thing?
don't see why we can't. We
No,
just
we
have
would
to
just
get.
add on to,
Okay.
add it to whoever gets the awarded,
Rework the
whatever.
numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not gonna need it much, maybe.
Much maybe.
don't want to be double twice.
I gotta do this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, right, it's not gonna, but I mean, if maybe that,
It's relatively simple, it's not, there's no piping involved or anything,
okay,
so it would be a
So
lot.
digging, right? Digging.
Digging,
setting.
digging and a little more stone and setting.
Setting and regrading, yeah.
End of it.
Are there going to be any conflicts with the water lines with this?
That I would have to go over and look and see where the valving is and see what's in Munsell and.
You should know.
It won't be hard to find the valves that sunk about 6 inches.
I don't think it'd be too big of an issue there, but I'd wanna go over and look at it to make sure.
Waiting for Jill to put her hand up. Are you listening, Jill?
Tell me again, he was mentioning something about a service off of Park Street and North Street. What was that?
No, we were talking about putting in a
dry well.
A dry well on the corner of Munsell and Pine. And
to capture some of the runoff from the Bristol Works facility, and are your water pipes there?
water lines that we have to
They're-
worry about.
They're kind of in the new one is in the middle. The new one's in the middle of the road where all that pavement got torn up, and then they come up kind of in the middle of the intersection.
So we should be.
So they're not off on a green space.
You can see right where they are because the pavement patches are there.
Yeah.
And then we could stay more tight to the building side of the road. You know, put like, say, 3 feet out into the lawn on the building side and keep it all that way.
I'm just curious, do we need something on each corner of that? Because Jess is on the other side and that puddle's there.
Yeah.
Well, that one there. Well.
I was thinking,
I was just
I was thinking one of those chambers.
Put a
Could you
man-
almost tomorrow be here?
I can probably sneak away tomorrow.
All right.
I think it's supposed to be raining.
The crack of dawn.
Earlier. the
Rain
better,
rain
yeah.
is a good time to catch it.
Okay.
So
Do we want to revisit this then with these thoughts in mind? At our next meeting?
Or,
I think we
don't-
can-
Since we don't.
we can approve this.
or yeah, approve the
Approve this
quotes
quote.
and authorize. and then-
My only concern is then it becomes an extra.
Yeah,
Mhm.
as opposed to getting it as a full.
And as opposed to getting it as a package, and extras are more expensive.
Yeah,
than-
you're right.
If it's in the initial,
Longer than the rest.
if it's in the initial bid, then it is what it is, but, you know, you kind of. Unless you're not opposed to having somebody else do the other project.
So you're suggesting putting it out to bid again?
Or put the other project out to bid on its own, once we
Oh.
figure out what's
To
going.
me, I'd like to, because these other bidders nailed all the bids, and
Yeah,
it's not fair to the low bidder.
bidder.
It was a good, it's a good bid and a good company.
Okay,
So
so,
you ask them.
Oh, well,
What
I
it would
definitely
cost.
would ask them all,
okay,
or at least the,
okay, so let's focus on,
3.
so our. Masterson, we don't have, it's the most expensive and we don't have a schedule from them, so we can't. Oh, it is August, okay. Then we've got obviously the lowest bid, which we tend to look at. More closely, Bristol Brothers, do we know, we worked with them before, or no, or yes, or, I'm not familiar with them.
yeah, we work.
We looked it up for you.
They do good.
Yeah, they do good work.
Okay, does anyone have a preference? I mean, we tend to try to go for,
I would be happy with going with them.
okay,
Brothers.
and it seems like the early August, that's
Yep.
workable.
So I make a motion, we go with Driscoll Brothers to install the drainage on Pine Street.
Second,
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any more to discuss? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
aye,
Opposed? Staying?
Okay, so where's the money coming from?
Well, we reviewed that at the prior meeting. It's a combination of the reserve funds
Okay.
and also, I think some of the regular operating budget, but mostly reserve funds.
Okay.
and then in terms of those extra things that we discussed, how do you wanna handle that? Do you wanna have it on the next meeting, or do you wanna have
I think
our,
it falls within, well, sure, if it's.
well, whatever's easier for you, I guess, I mean, you sort of have the details kind of from Eric and from
Whenever
us.
it's available and ready to move forward, we'll put that on the agenda.
Okay, and just put that out to bid, okay.
Okay.
So you're all set with me then to order the pipe?
Yep.
You haven't done that yet?
Oh, no.
You don't know if you're gonna get it before August.
Huh?
You don't know if you're gonna get it
Not a
before
month
August.
turnaround time from the time I call them. I wanted to make sure, because I don't have the money in my budget to cover that. I'm not a.
He'll just write a check.
I know he will.
As long as he's
No,
got
I
checks,
won't.
you're fine.
Alright, I'll call him tomorrow.
So I presume with
Triplicate
the,
double sign.
with the authors, with the selection of Driscoll Brothers, that also includes the authorization to proceed with the project.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's-
At least in that motion.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay, water commissioners update. I'm putting our water commissioners hat on. Update on efforts to address the private water line concerns and water line extensions outside of the public right of ways, including discussion of the School Street water line repair.
So as I mentioned in my notes, when this agenda item was initially set, thought there was gonna be more substance to be able to talk about, but we're not quite there yet. We're still, Jill and Steve and I, and hopefully Kevin Brown are still looking through the existing ordinance and seeing where things can be modified, amended to address some of these concerns. And we know that other communities have dealt with this in some way, and I think the Chittenden or Champlain Valley Water District may be a useful example, and Steve has put a lot of effort into looking at, and so has Jill. And so we're in the early stage of going through our current ordinance and seeing where adjustments would be appropriate.
Yeah.
And in doing that, we're actually reacquainting ourselves to some of the provisions in the ordinance that are already there that we might need to be paying closer attention to. And so one of the goals is once we get through this phase or this stage, is to go through it with the select board on the screen, just line by line or section by section, and kind of, that would be an opportunity to really take a close look at what's already there, but also see where improvements can be made.
Okay.
So hopefully, especially given that the annual water district and sewer district annual meetings are coming up, quite likely in June, we hope to be able to have that together so that it's all part of that big package of the public hearing and a deep discussion of these issues.
Can we get that at least a week or so before,
Yes.
so we can all
Absolutely,
do
yeah.
comments?
Yeah, hopefully.
Just so it streamlines that process when we're actually in the.
Right, I'm hoping that we'll make significant progress this week. I'm hoping, but we'll see how that goes.
How much of the ordinance do you see being rewritten with these new things? I mean, it's a number of pages and we put a bunch of. work
Right,
into
it's only a
it
couple of
in the
years
last-
old.
Yeah.
So it's a fairly new ordinance to the commission. And so, yeah, we're still getting oriented to it.
Okay.
Well, as you know, was it 4 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, the deal was in.
The 22nd.
So it was, yeah, almost 2 weeks ago. And he reached out to me and you know, in November, we gave him a timeline, remember, May 1st to May 15th. He said, I can't make that because I still haven't answered this question, whose line that is, you know, so.
Who said they couldn't do that?
We said,
You guys said that.
we said we can't. I talked to Joe later on and called her, and she says, there's so many questions on who owns the line up to the White School.
Right.
And who is drawing up it, besides you, it's the rectory and the other two houses, and so at the time, we gotta find out, I believe, Valerie, where you're going with this is that runs up a private drive, not your line, runs up to the old high school, which is a 1-inch line, and they'll probably put it in the high schools. Second edition of the high school was built.
That's only a 1-inch line going up through
I
there?
believe. Is it a 1 or a 2-inch, Jill? On School
So
Street?
There are no records. So this, can I show you guys the actual system drawing on the water lines around that area so that you guys can see the dilemma and the question that we're asking so that we can plan this project and just kind of, there's like a worst case and a best case scenario, but we want to just show you guys all of it.
Apparently, I'm not a co-host, so I can't give you the.
Hang on a second, Jill.
I need to fix that. I keep getting not co-host.
Basically from a
Okay, Jill, I think you're co-host, so you can.
Make me one too, so I can share. Thank you.
Can you see that?
We can just see your computer screen, Joe.
Okay, perfect.
Ah,
Okay, so this is what I want you guys to see.
You
and-
need to wait a minute, we're
Wait a
not.
minute,
there
yeah,
yet.
I had to get out
There
of
we
the way.
go. Okay.
Okay, so there is a service line to be replaced to, I don't know, can you guys see this?
Yep.
Moving around, okay. So this is the property on School Street. So the curb for this property is in the rock garden at the front of this property, right here at the edge of the road. So here's my big question, and then our joint concerns, and then a question to you guys as the water board of how you want to move ahead with this. So the public water line goes down School Street and then takes a nice sharp right turn onto Park Place. There happens to be a private water line that comes off the corner and goes down School Street. The material and size of this line is not published anywhere to our knowledge. We've just simply heard from persons that operated the water system in the past that that very may well be a 1-inch galvanized line. There's also potentially an abandoned fuel tank in the road here. There's definitely a storm line that runs from Church Street all the way down School Street, across West Street and over the bank. So there's a good sized storm line on what we're looking at this as a bird on the right side of this road, a gas tank around here somewhere. So what could happen is we're here to witness the installation of a replacement water line for this particular property. That curb again is on a piece of private property underneath a rock wall on a person's land that's gonna disrupt that person's garden. And this is a private water line. So I just wanna know who owns this water line that is presumably a 1-inch galvanized line, and what do you want to do if that water line is found to be in very bad condition and leaking and needing to be replaced upon the digging for this curb replacement?
Related to that, Jill and I met this morning, and she has at least one solution that can be decided on tonight. And it's a good one, I think, where she's proposing to add 2 valves at that corner of School Street and Park Place. Because to do this repair is going to require turning that whole line off from School Street at West Street over to North Street. And that whole area would be without water for whatever period of time. But if they can install those 2 valves at that intersection, then there'd be more control over the types of water closure would be necessary. And that's something we can decide to do tonight, and that would be a water system investment in general.
So
Would be a good thing to do.
What is the line that goes around the park?
What
That's a
size?
6-inch.
6 inches.
6 inch, okay, yeah, I see it.
Right, so I mean, one thought, I mean, there's many schools of thought, but right now, this valve 37 that you see at the intersection of West and School, and then if we go to drawing C7, the valve 18 that we see at Park and North, that's how we would shut down that water line in order to stop the water from flowing down this private water line on School Street, should it be a problem, which is very likely to happen, given that it's very likely a very old galvanized line that may not survive this project of just replacing a curb.
And there's also an antiquated curb box there.
Yep, there's a little old buffalo box underneath this gentleman's garden, and I think I see him, the gentleman that lives there in this place right here in your audience. So our bigger concern is more just, yes, people replace their water lines all the time. This is a connection on a private water line on private property. How would you like to proceed?
Do you know what the line is going into the old high school?
I haven't seen it yet.
1-inch copper.
It's 1-inch copper. I
replaced that.
That's out to that line in the road.
So I'm curious, Dale, do you know what the deed says into you? And Matlock, I know you live back there. Is there an easement for you guys for this water line?
An easement?
Yeah, an easement or a right that says you have.
I just wanna back up a little bit now. This is the same drawing that we looked at back in November. And we knew the water came off the corner of that. Never once was it ever mentioned, this is a private water line. Now, she said it 3 or 4 times, just talking about it again. So we're 6, 7 months later, I think this is something that somebody just realized that it is on a private water line. Well, I don't think it's private water line, the town owns that water line.
No, the school.
No, school
apparently
owned it.
School owned it.
I mean, it's just like the roadway there is not town roadway, it's a private road.
I mean, I think if we got a little history lesson here, probably the second edition, that's the second edition of the high school. Back in, I don't know when.
Which second edition where the gym is?
The gym.
No, the gym in the first section, they tore down where the bell is. And then the second section, then the third is the gym. We used to play upstairs here, basketball. Probably that and the rectory were the first 2 buildings there. And then probably the houses.
Mhm.
And who authorized back then, who knows? It could be owned put in by the school and was property of the government. Who knows, but I believe Jill's right, it's on private. We don't own that alley. The town, it's not a street.
So I know that a fuel tank was removed there.
Yes.
When they did the septic and everything, but I don't know if there's another one in the alleyway. Cause Paquettes, when they put the new septic and everything in, I remember bidding the job and it had tank removal in it.
But no, I believe the deeds read that it's, everything I've read says it's the Bristol School District. We know that has changed and it all, yeah.
Town of Bristol property.
That went back in 1971, but they redid that in 1989, basically the same thing.
Redid what? Get what you mean.
A quick claim deed from the town of Bristol. It's,
Oh, to own the water line? you mean?
yeah, well, no, that whole right of way, I haven't seen anything that doesn't say that the Bristol School District would be controlling that.
We reached out to Tom and Carol Wells if they had any information and they had.
They don't,
No.
no, I think this is something that somebody just kind of realized.
Hmm.
Cause I mean, in November, we never talked about that being a private water line at all.
No, we
You know,
didn't.
and
I,
we had,
I'm with you, Dale. I believe we assumed we owned the line up through there.
and then it was gonna be,
I don't think I ever assumed that, cause I knew that was a private road, private
I knew it
driveway.
was a private road, but I figured being the school was there that we owned the line up
if
through.
you were in that meeting in November though, nobody said that that's a private water line. Nobody.
My name is not nobody. My name is Jill, okay?
Okay, hold
That
on.
water line is not on the
I'm addressing
plan.
everybody here.
Okay.
So, but I'm, including yourself, you never once said that was a private water line. Never once.
Okay, let's keep this civil.
Oh, yeah, no, we are, I'm just saying.
Okay, to
But-
me,
But whatever, we've got a problem, we gotta resolve it.
right, I think the first problem is, we know the deadline's gonna come and go. Cause we don't wanna tap into a 1-inch line, then it might blow up, and no one on high school, the gym, the old high school, the gym, the offices, and the rectory, and the 3 or 4 houses are gonna have any water. I think that's the first thing.
How old is the,
Lance, you had a question, hold on.
I just wanted to give a little back history on that exact service, what you're calling a private service line. That was put in and back, I don't remember when, there used to be a flushing hydrant right at the entry to the alleyway that went up by Hapsmith's house.
Or, you mean Sealand.
At the, or Sealand's, that was been hit by plows too many times, they removed it and capped it. That, I know that Scott Powell did that, I watched him do that, but that was a town water main because that was town property.
As in the old high school.
Correct.
Fine.
So that is actually a water main.
It is.
It's not a private service line of any sorts, and I believe that it is 4-inch all the way to the alley. Old.
The actual
cast
water
iron.
line, you're talking the water line and
The water
not
line
like the
is-
stormwater.
No, the water line, I don't even remember who had said that, but that was 4-inch cast iron pipe.
And who is speaking right now?
That's Lance.
Lance Pearlie.
Okay. Have you seen it and do you have a drawing with it on it?
I have seen the water main only in front of the high school when we had to replace the curb stop to the high school.
And when you're saying high school, do you mean the Bristol gym?
Yeah, the Bristol Fitness now.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Okay.
Right outside that curb stop was replaced.
And Jill, Lance is with SOS Water.
Yes, totally. And what material was that made out of?
Which one?
The 4-inch water line that's on School Street,
I was told that it was 4-inch cast iron,
cast
some
iron.
of the old original cast iron piping.
He did not see it.
I did not actually see it because it's on the other side of the road. And I believe that there is a valve for that right by the telephone pole by the church for that line. I think.
There's a curb there.
Because when we did that, when I replaced that curb stop, we shut it off right there by the Catholic church and the telephone pole. There was a main line valve there somewhere.
Right in by the driveway.
So shutting
Yeah.
that valve off by the church, which is further east on Park Place, shut that 4-inch off to School Street?
Mhm.
Are you talking the telephone pole by the rectory's driveway?
Back of the church.
No, it's back up towards the church closer.
Yeah,
Oh.
not where the crosswalk is.
There are
Okay.
2 churches.
Right.
Catholic church.
Catholic church?
Catholic church.
So right about where the H is in school?
Yep.
Yep, somewhere right in there, I remember there being a main line valve.
When you use the locator on that valve that you're talking about, it doesn't trace out with the electronic locating equipment. Cause that's what I did. I hooked right on there and I traced all that water line out throughout there. So I don't know what to say. I was told it's a small diameter galvanized line for what that's worth. And I figured I'd hook right onto that valve that Lance is talking about. I did. Spent a bunch of time out there chasing it around and it doesn't come off that valve. Or I lose it and it's 50-50 on those anyway, but.
So my guess would be that the portion of the building that was tore down probably was galvanized. And I'm not saying that the other's any different, but I don't know who, where you got your information, but it would stand to reason that the other part was old enough so it would be galvanized.
Yeah, I'm not debating that.
We just
I don't
want
know, I'm trying to get in my mind clear what we've got. And I know until somebody sees it, we're not gonna know.
Well, there is one bit of information here, and that is that our house, which is the last one on School Street, it's 19 School Street, just before the pathway goes over to church. We had our water line going from the curb stop into our basement replaced 6 or 8 years ago, and I think Steve Heffernan was the guy who did the work. So he dug a hole in well, I don't know where it was, whether it was in our yard or whether.
Well, that would be on your side of the curb stop. So we're talking about the actual.
Hold on, sorry, I've got a gentleman speaking in the audience.
Curb stop is on our lawn by about 12 inches from the actual curb.
And I believe there's
And
like
so-
an 8-inch curb there.
So wouldn't he have seen the town line in that hole when he dug it? So maybe somebody ought to talk to Steve.
I might
See
be
if
able
he
to do
remembers.
that.
Can you handle that figure for us?
Okay.
So I think that we got a lot more questions here.
Right.
You know, first of all, how many feet is it up to I'll call it the Ballards or up to these people?
Matlocks.
Matlocks, the old Bill Hire place, the old
Yeah.
barber shop.
That's right.
I have to go back a few years like that. And find out how much, that would, first of all, what size it is, we may find that out in a few minutes, but, what would that cost if we're gonna do that? Or we just say, Dale, you still have water, and we gave him permission to, not tap the line,
Open it back up.
open it back up, and it did. And if it's leaking underground, he ain't the first one in town that's leaking underground probably, because we pump twice as much as we sell every day. But he's not in violation of something we can't fix right now, because there's gonna be a huge cost possibly to run maybe 150 feet of water line up to through the alley.
Well, you also need to figure out who really owns that line. I mean, we can't just assume we own it. If it's a private line, we can't just,
Right.
you know, say,
I
okay,
believe
we're
it's on
replacing
private-
it.
I believe it's on private land.
Well, I understand that, but I
I don't
mean,
know who owns it.
there may
Yeah,
have been
it's a
some
private
agreement back then that
And
the
5
landowners
properties
are
affected.
responsible
5
for
properties are
it, so. I mean, you really need to do the research to figure that out, and that's not gonna be an easy task.
No, yes, sir.
I live in the property at 15 School Street, which is the one that has the rock garden.
Larry Dole's old place.
Yeah.
And what's your name?
I would think, the question is not who owns the land, but who owns the right of way, right? Is there a right of way for the water line?
You know, it was
Because
probably
under
back, when that high school was built, it was probably built on a handshake.
Yeah.
No offense, I mean, it's probably done on a handshake.
So what about if the landowners granted a right of way for the water line? Because you're obviously using the water line. Your
We're all
water,
on.
maybe a private line, but we're paying for it, you know, to the town water. And isn't the issue just to get a right of way so you know that you own that?
Well, it's also a matter of repairing that line. If it's a private water line, who pays for it? Is it you or the town? I mean, if it's a private line, it's up to the landowners. If it belongs to the town, then it's up to the town. So that's really why we're talking about who owns the line.
So at one point, it did belong to the town if it went to the town's high school.
That's correct.
Although.
Well, it's the
like,
school district.
Exactly.
It wasn't
'cause the
town, it
school-
was the
high
school district.
Pays.
But
for
it
their
was, at that point, it was Bristol High School. It wasn't.
Not 5
It
towns.
wasn't five towns. So it's no different than Mountain Street School was Bristol Elementary.
Can we get,
So,
can I
can I
get
get your
your name,
name?
sir?
Peter Marsh.
Peter Marshall, thank you, Peter.
And then
Yes,
Bruce,
sir.
what do you have?
I've got two maps here, one of which is dated 1971. And it clearly says, in that strip of land that's in front of the gymnasium, town of Bristol property.
That's correct.
And I have a second map, which is from 1989, and there's a shaded area. And this note is attached to that shaded area. Note, crosshatched area denotes the location of a common easement and right-of-way are pertinent to lands of Grattan, Haynes, Doe, the Catholic Diocese, and of the Bristol School Department. School district. And so, you know, is there an easement and a right-of-way that was, you know, that's attached to those properties?
That's why I was asking what was in the deeds.
At any rate, more about that. Would anyone like to see?
We'd like
copies of-
a copy.
Yeah, it came from your files, I'm sure.
Thank you.
That's good to know we have those, huh?
He only replaced the line through the curb stop. He didn't go any further than the curb stop.
Right, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember if he made it to the main, because the main's not very far from there.
No, he just,
Access
because it was a flare fitting.
Yep.
And he remembers having to.
So is the easiest thing just to
Yes,
dig
okay.
and see what's there? At least that gives the water,
Well, if Si knows
department an
where,
idea of what's there.
if Si knows where that valve is, maybe we could shut that valve off and see if water stops going to the.
It doesn't- What's that,
Doesn't
Si?
move.
It doesn't move.
Oh.
It doesn't currently operate.
I
It's
know that the two
inoperable.
on either end of the school and Park Streets work, but that one doesn't move. I tried to move it the other day and it doesn't want to go anywhere and I don't want to break nothing. I mean, I can, if you want me to break it, I'll break it. but I-
No, but you did find it though, right? Si, you say? You
Oh, yeah.
found it.
I found the exact valve that Lance is talking about, and that's what I did all my tracing off from, all the way over there, all the pavement is all marked where I found it, so.
Yep, I mean, if you guys were to walk down right now, you're gonna see that all the water services, the water lines, they're all marked out, all the way down School Street. We're trying to get ready to do this project and we want
Just want to get it.
old leaky water lines replaced. We just want you guys to tell us who owns
I
that
think
water,
we need a cost.
please.
obviously.
It's just who
Sorry.
owns the water line so that if perchance, when it comes time to possibly rehook the town side of the service from the curb to the main, if we find that the main is not attached toable because it's in bad repair, if it's in misrepair, we just want to be prepared if the project goes to something larger, just to understand that if this is part of the town's water system, because it's a
Who owns it? That's
just
all.
who owns it, so that I don't want to be in a meeting after the work is done and have a fight between different parties. I would rather come into this eyes wide open. All the decisions get made ahead of time. And then everybody knows what is going on, instead of it being after the fact and having a lot of really upset people, because I'm not really interested in that.
Yep, which makes total sense, Jill.
Yes.
So I guess we'll continue to do on the town side, the investigating to try to find out who owns the line.
We probably got it. Even though we didn't want it. Because it was.
I mean,
the
we should,
town
we should
Bristol
own it.
School districts,
Yeah.
water line, so it's owned by the taxpayers. And we inherited it and we didn't really want to, but
Have we reached
Well,
out
we
to the,
probably put it in.
we probably put it in.
have we
back
reached out
in
to
the
the,
day.
have we reached out to the current school district to see if there's any knowledge over there?
I don't imagine why they would.
I don't know why they would
Yeah.
hang
Well,
on to
because
those
it's-
records.
Right,
They sold that back in the late eighties, after we built the new addition, big addition about at Bristol Elementary. I went 4th, 5th, and 6th
So did I.
in Pickard, so we're dating ourselves a little.
but I mean, I know
Walked up, yeah,
when I-
walked up for lunch and back.
when I was researching the bus shelter and the bell box that was right there, Tom Wells said that the piece of land that the bell box is on is owned
But
by the
school
school
district.
district, but then there isn't a district anymore, or it's not. So I was wondering, if does the same thing apply if the,
Well, technically, I think when the school changed to district, they did quick claim deeds of all property they owned to the
Right.
district, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they still own
That,
it.
that piece alone.
Part of the
that was-
supervisor.
yeah, Right.
okay,
right.
but then this isn't because
No.
the building was
Right.
sold, is that
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
It's all private with the exception of where the bell sits.
I see, got it, okay, well, that makes it a little less confusing.
I can't see the map where the shading is, but that would make sense if there was an easement down through there, just like placement of all the curb stops down. through
Well,
there.
yeah.
That was a water main and an easement
Thank you.
that they had to repair their
Thank
water
you for
main.
doing that and doing that.
I would assume that the town owns that line.
So can the town just claim ownership of the line if no one comes forward and says, I own that line? I mean, I don't know why anyone would want to continue to own a private water line that serves however many houses along there. Can we just say, this is ours?
Well, I mean,
Or
we
we're
can't,
we're taking it over?
no, what you could say is, if there's any question, you get all the landowners to convey whatever interest they have into that,
Okay,
I mean, but if you're gonna do that, do you wanna take over the road too? I mean, while you're at it, because every time we get on that road, we're gonna have to get permission to
Sure.
work on it.
I mean,
You know,
I
but
think
that's-
we should.
That's
Not if
one of
we
those
have a
things.
right away.
Yeah, right away, they dig
Sure.
the road
I'm not sure we
That's the
wanna
one thing
take it
to do.
over for maintenance.
Well, I know, I'm just
plowing,
saying,
sanding,
like-
and salving, and paving.
Right.
And we do we have a right of way over there? I know we have a right of way over for the
Down the alley.
alley, yeah, cause we
I
had to
think we
fix
do.
that, we had to straighten that out a little bit.
Right.
ago.
I mean, we want to own the water line. The water line serves however many private houses, 5 houses, and
And
we-
this, and
the building.
and a commercial building.
Right, so we need to own that water line, so we just need to, whatever
Mhm.
process that is, I mean, we could continue to research, but if we don't find an answer, then we need to figure out a way to move forward.
One question that comes up when we have been talking about this is other comparable situations.
I was just thinking of the one on off of North Street where Kevin lives.
Well, and others. I mean,
I've already
there's this,
researched that, and it's done. We don't have that.
where do we, how far do we go with that?
I think each project is unique. I think we have to look at it. We're essentially correcting potential mistakes that were made decades ago. And we're bringing it into compliance with what our current system is.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking about the one we just did for Adam. I was like, at what point does it become a problem for us?
Right, but that's
Well, we
also
haven't done it.
why
I know, but
we're
we've given him
reviewing
permission.
the ordinance to be able to not be in this position in 10 years from now.
Right, and also Lawson Lane,
Mhm.
which is another unique situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because in 10 years, I don't want to be still talking about water lines.
Well, that's
that
why
maybe
we're-
we don't own if I'm still on the board.
Would you like to know how many private water lines you have? Because I have them written down.
I know there's
Is
a
it
lot.
more
of
than
them.
10?
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it depends which decisions you make in the next 3 developments, but yes, I mean, at the moment you have this chunk of School Street, you have Francie's Place, you have Devino Line, there's a 2-inch off the corner from Meadow
Mhm.
Lane for 2 dwellings, 1 multiple unit dwelling. You've got North Meadow Drive, you've got Lawson Lane, you have Rockydale Trailer Park, and then 2 consecutive water systems, which are KTP and Woodland Apartments. And then you have 2 to 3 new possible private water lines. And I just want to bring you to your current ordinance, which has only 2 definitions.
Yeah.
It has a service line and it has an extension. A service line is defined as a single connection. A new service location is an area for which a water service is proposed that's more than 200 feet along a street or right of way from a town distribution main, such that an extension of a distribution main is required to provide water to the service or properties. And then you further flip and you see what they define as an extension. And it says, this is your ordinance on page 7, section 8.001. Applicants for a water service at a new service location that will require an extension, which was defined as more than 200 feet away from the existing distribution line of the town's water system for the purpose of supplying water to more than 1 residential unit or for commercial or industrial purposes shall complete a written service application to the town and shall pay the service connection fees set forth in the schedule and rates of charges. It says that you need to include drawings of the proposed service, which show in detail all service locations, piping, appliances, which normally is called appurtenances, manufacturing processes and/or machines that are to be connected to the water service, including boilers, both high and low pressure, all water distribution, construction piping, service piping, hydrants, and other appurtenances of the proposed extension of the town's water system shall be constructed as part of a development or subdivision, shall be built to the specifications of the town and all applicable state and federal laws and regulations. Written approval of the plans by all applicable agencies shall accompany the application for service. So it's pretty clear in here that if you're extending the water service, if you're extending a distribution line, you're extending the town's public water system. If it's for more than 1 house and it's more than 200 feet away, that's our current ordinance. There are a bunch of little stepchildren in there that don't fit this ordinance. And we know that this was a rewrite. I don't have the old ordinance to compare it to. I just know that it's like, we get to these and it's like, what should we do? It's not on the asset management plan. It's not on the drawings. Who owns it? Who's paying for it? We want the water lines to be solid and not leaking and to supply good, clean water to everybody connected to the water system. That's our goal as water operators. We just have to petition you as the board and the water commissioners to direct us how you wish for us to proceed with each one of these kind of special circumstances.
To me, I guess the bigger question is let first of all, if we do end up owning all the way to the gym, Bristol Fitness now, the old high school,
Mhm.
we got it by, kind of like an uncle you don't really want, but you ended up getting him, because he's part of the family.
Yep.
And we got five hookups we gotta maintain until we put this in the inventory of, like, we're gonna do Munsell Avenue, we're gonna do Maple, we're doing what Steve called the west side of the village. And this is part of that. And until
This-
they don't have water, we keep letting them have water. And if it leaks, we have to address it that day, I guess, or thereon. But one person, we gave a deadline of May 1st to May 15th, and obviously they can't make it, but it's no fault of their own.
Nope, it's not. And we're not saying it is
And
their fault. We're just trying to say, do we have their authorization to get this scheduled? And if it becomes larger, is this?
Can we replace the line?
Right, and I'm not sure, I
Yes.
would like to know the numbers if, okay, all hell breaks loose, so to speak. And we can't, and nobody's got water up through there, the five of them, and we gotta put in a 4-inch or a 6-inch up to the old Bristol Fitness to service the 5. What's that a cost?
I don't think it matters.
It's probably over
Now we're
20,000.
getting, they're all getting water if we don't dig in the ground. That's what I'm saying.
They're not all getting water. 17 School Street's not getting water.
Who's 17?
Dale.
Oh, Dale's getting water.
My kid, oh, yeah, I
He's
mean,
getting water.
there's water coming out of the faucet.
But it's leaking.
But
In the
it's,
ground, we believe it is.
oh, yeah.
Is that the only one in the village that's leaking?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's all- Our water loss, all Dale's fault.
Yeah, right. No.
I do have another question on, now, the more I get thinking about that line, up that alleyway past the old high school, Jill, on Church Street, was there also a main line valve at the end of that alley? I almost think that line continued all the way through and the blow off was halfway in between. Up near where it says H16 at the top.
The other way.
That's a hydrant.
I know, but is there, I seem to remember a valve up there. This was a long time ago. I could be wrong.
Mary's water line valve is like in the middle of her driveway.
Right,
For water
but it was
valves,
in front of Mary's old house. It was right there somewhere and the line came down that fence line. I'm just going off memory from 10 years ago, Jill, so forgive me.
I haven't seen it myself.
I haven't seen it. All the valves seem to be at the intersections of the major roads.
So,
Let's see. Do you-
Cause at one point, I think I remember hearing that was originally put in back when that was the,
Cause this is where you're saying that you think there might be a valve. All I have here is a
Yeah,
hydrant.
right there.
no, there's a pop up in here somewhere.
Okay.
like down in, like in the alley next to the fence or up by the sidewalk.
In
I
here
just seem to
somewhere.
remember being a valve there that we had to shut off because we couldn't shut the water off.
So it may
Right.
be, you're thinking this is actually looped right here.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be better for water quality if it were looped, but you're right. If we even shut off at the end of Park and at the end of West and School and we didn't shut this one, if it's looped, the water would not stop.
That hasn't been that.
that's why I'm thinking that we found a valve up there, Jill, but like I said, that was 10 years ago. I can't remember everything.
Yeah, that's why having drawings that are inaccurate isn't helpful.
Okay,
All right.
I guess we're not gonna solve this puzzle tonight, by no means.
Although one question that we might be prepared to address is the suggestion of installing 2 valves at that corner of School and Park.
Well, it depends on what's there for a line. If there's a main going up through there, all they'd have to do is put a new valve in the main that would shut those off and put one valve in the main.
Yeah, that's what Cyrus is also saying. What if that is a 4-inch? I mean, we could just pothole here to see. I'm so curious now because if a valve over here by hydrant 22 is shutting that off, it almost sounds like this line pulls way over and then comes to this left side of School Street. Because where we pull the actual main is way over here.
Correct.
Oh, you're saying the valve is by the church?
Yes.
This cap is not the church over here on.
There's a valve.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Right, by that
Right
fire,
about the church.
or by that fire hydrant in there somewhere.
There's a telephone pole.
Right by the
Not
H,
fire
there's a
hydrant,
telephone
excuse me,
pole
not
there.
telephone pole, sorry.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense to
Across
that
the
side of
street
the
on
road.
side.
So it sounds like Val suggested in putting in the 2 valves, maybe we still need to have more information about what to do.
Yeah,
A
I
little
just-
bit of investigating by VTEMs.
How about digging where that valve that I said he couldn't open?
We can
If
try
that's
that.
for-
We can see if it gives us a direction of what it
Yeah.
is and where it's going and an
Yeah.
idea.
well, and we can shut it off and see who loses water. We can get it
Well, if they-
operate.
if nobody loses water, then it means that it's looped.
And if water starts spraying out the top of it, then it's
Then
broke.
Deal with it.
And if it won't turn, then it's non-functional. And yeah, exactly. If we shut that one off and it's still got water and it actually works, then maybe there is something over by that walkway.
Okay.
Basically,
Okay.
More
investigative. Situation.
investigatory stuff to do.
That's why this is occurring the way that it is, because who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay.
Actual answer without
Right, and
doing more investigation, and then who's responsible for the investigation, basically.
Right, and to continue to think, I guess, as a water commission of, does it make sense to continue to have private water distribution lines? And when does that make sense? And how to document it so that it becomes just very clear to any property owner what they own or don't own, and very clear to the water system what they own and don't own, and so it is just,
Unmuddy the water.
yeah, unmuddy the water, because I don't wanna, it stinks to have to be you guys or us and have this vagueness in these gray areas where it doesn't seem very cut and clear, and we just want to get stuff done,
Okay.
not leave people hanging.
So
Okay.
is the next step to do some exploratory digging to see what's under there?
I would say.
Well, we need to see what's under there and we need to see if we have a right of way.
So should we?
I'll be right away before the exploratory digging.
Yeah, probably, just so that we know if we're allowed to be on that property.
Well, you can dig in that intersection if you think you know where it is there.
That valve.
That's in the town right of way.
That's in the town, that to that corner, that's all in the town right away.
Cool.
It's from
By-
there, from the.
After that is what we really need to know.
Yeah.
Right.
You just
Yeah,
have
I
the answer after that, that'd be great.
But I wouldn't think that they would switch from a 4-inch cast to a inch galvanized. I wouldn't think, but stranger things have happened.
The thing that's odd is when you get in that valve box, it's not a square knot. It's a fat slot, like a buffalo curb is what it's like in that box. So I'm not getting one of the large square valve tops like you'd usually get. It's like it's like a large curb stop valve.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I'll gladly dig it up and see what it is if you guys want to do that.
Do you think that that's where the water's going up that street?
I'm not 100% sure. That's why I'm asking all these questions. I don't want it to be a constant dig in every different direction. I like to be able to hone in on it and get it done.
We want to make sure we can shut it off, and we want to make sure that if when we get down to the line, it's in disrepair or it needs to be replaced, that we just know
What your stance
who owns it, what's
Can
your,
you,
and how to
can
proceed.
you tie on with your locators? Like at the old school and trace backwards?
That's what I did. I tied on everybody's curb stop and traced backwards. And then
So do you know where it hooks into that 6, or do you have an idea where it hooks into that 6-inch?
I do have a rough idea where it is, but that it's still, you're within 2 feet usually.
Well, 2 feet is better than 10 if you're looking for a 4-inch line.
I can pothole if you want. That makes a small enough hole.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I'd be willing to meet with them over there and I can go over what I remember if they wanted.
Did you hear that, Jim?
Yeah.
You hear that? Jim?
Open to that.
Okay. Okay, you two set it up and keep us informed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how shall we proceed with the legal research? Shall we hire somebody to do it? Because I don't have time. So.
Yeah,
Well, we
I
need
mean,
to find-
the question is, the easiest way to do it, if we want to take over that line, is just get everybody to agree and sign off.
Yep.
I think that's gonna be your cheapest cheapest way to do it.
So
I mean,
it's-
do you really
I
wanna
mean-
do you really wanna do the research just to find out we're gonna take it over anyway?
Yeah.
Well,
Do you wanna
all I
waste
want
time?
is right away. I don't wanna own the road.
Well, no, I'm talking about I'm not talking about the water line, not the roadway.
So,
Cause Tom's answer was,
No idea.
Tom's answer was take the road and then we'd be stuck maintaining the road.
No, I wouldn't take the road. I would just say we'd get ownership of the water line, get an easement
to dig in the road.
to be able to.
So that's
Now, do
what
the
you-
owners,
So the only owner we have to deal with is Tom Wells because he owns.
does he own to the edge of the rock wall and the curb?
No.
He owns, you guys own to the
We
center?
don't have
That
the
map.
pay-
That map that Valerie copied, you'll see where the.
Okay.
is, At least in front of it, at least in front of the BFIT gym.
That's not right.
Okay.
Just
Probably
north
this
of
one.
that storm drain by the high school is where that curb stop is for the high school.
Yep.
So that must have been the other edge of the right of way, I would assume.
So you can turn go in the right of way.
Edge of the road.
Property.
It's got the edge of the road. Tom's got to own all the way over here, 'cause
Yeah.
this is an easement.
Yeah, the map shows an easement and shows Tom owning all the
Well,
way
no,
to the
not
edge.
here, not in front of their padlock's house. To see, he owns out, there's their curb.
We own half the pavement in front of our house.
Right. About 12.16.
Oh, this one here, yeah.
Yep. And where it goes from here, I don't know, because they didn't show the road. It's a Roman Catholic.
Jill, I'm emailing
No,
you
that's
scanned
on
copies
the
of
other
what we're
side.
looking at.
Thank you.
No, that's just the other side of the
Documents
alleyway.
are
So
good.
half of the paved
And on another
Yeah,
subject,
but I
Jill,
think this is the
I
pavement
talked
here.
with Tom Busco,
pavement goes all the
After
way-
that letter
all the way to the
surfaced.
building.
Francis Lane,
Yeah.
him and those other houses, they own that line.
And they don't wish for the town to own it, is my understanding. That particular
Nope.
person does not wish to. So that's a
That's a non-starter.
And
that's a
there's the-
non-starter.
the
So
opposite
I guess
edge of
there's
the
just,
alleyway.
there's a
Right.
couple others to think about in the future, that's all.
15 feet.
Okay,
Are we saying?
okay, hold on, I
12
got about
feet
4
from
different
there?
conversations.
Is that line that goes
12
down
feet from
to
the curbing
Rusco's,
down?
is that metered at the road?
No, sorry.
No, each house got their own meter. It's an 8-inch main going, 6-inch main going down to that
So
fire.
hers.
So they own the
The
hydrant,
curbing.
They own the hydrant, Tom
She's
Busco owns
saying
the
she
hydrant and the
owns-
main on it.
so they can
So
sell
60
water out
feet
of that
to the
hydrant.
center.
No, my
But
ordinance
that
says
doesn't
can't
show
sell
that
water.
on here.
No, town can't sell
This is
water.
the newer one.
No, he can't sell water there.
He owns a hydrant. He can have
Unbeatable.
people haul water out of it. It's
The
private.
ordinance is very specific about who's allowed to touch a hydrant that's on the public water system, whether it's private or publicly owned. The use and touching of that hydrant is very guarded by the ordinance.
But if you're saying that's a private line, though, that's not owned or maintained by the town, so therefore that is not the town's hydrant.
Then I guess
It's
we're
not-
gonna shut the valve.
What's that, Jill? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
That's a pretty, that statement is in disregard to the ordinance and how fire hydrants on a public water system are to be utilized. You cannot sell water from an unmetered hydrant because you happen to be connected to the water system on a private line.
See that Jeff there?
Okay,
That's another discussion.
that's another discussion, another thing. We got about 40 different, yeah,
And then
things
it's.
here. I'm trying to
16
get the cats
feet
back
all the way
together.
down.
Okay, so,
16.
so we have decisions for VTOMs and Lance to meet, do a bit of digging, bit of investigating, but we also need how we want to move forward for the owning the water line. Michelle has suggested that we just ask for, talk to each property owner.
I mean, I guess I would talk with Kevin and find the best and easiest route
Okay,
to do that
Let's ask
way,
Kevin.
because I think. I
Well,
mean,
it's
doing
Tom and Matlock are the only two owners.
okay.
Right, that's what it looks like from these, the
The map.
surveys,
The
yeah.
map is
The
right.
other ones
You're-
just have-
You go out to the, according to the map, you go to the back side of the alley.
Yeah, Bruce and I own the house together.
Right, so you own almost whatever 12 feet
12.16.
is into
Yeah.
the pavement.
Yeah.
And then the school owns the rest up to a certain point.
So, but if that line continues up that alleyway, then that would have been a loop.
Yeah.
Main.
That's what we gotta find out too from
Yeah.
VTOMs.
That's,
Okay.
I don't know why I think that.
Correct.
And we have rights to the alleyway.
So do you have
Right.
clear directions, Jill? First, we're digging up the valve box that doesn't operate.
We're gonna meet
Find out.
first and discuss stuff, and then we're gonna start doing things.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, okay, that sounds good.
Eat, discuss, then dig.
Okay,
Is that like
Yes.
measure twice,
Yes.
cut once?
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, try to make it as cost effective and as undamaging as
Uh-huh.
possible, and hopefully get it done quickly.
Okay.
You have enough, Val.
I can also talk to Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, so yeah, they've got
Can I
their
steal
plan,
these?
and then we're gonna speak to Kevin about what's the best way to.
Si, are you available tomorrow morning, early tomorrow morning?
Can't hear you.
Could be yes, could be no.
Muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, you're
Jill.
muted, Jill. Hit the space bar.
Sorry, I
Jill-
was trying
Jill's
to. there you
muted,
go.
Si's not, he's talking like crazy.
I know.
I said, absolutely. What time would you like to meet?
6 o'clock? That too early?
6 o'clock there?
Yeah, right there on School Street.
Yes, sir. All right, sounds good.
Okay,
All right,
all right,
fantastic.
we're moving on.
See you then.
Thank you.
You're gonna have to go earlier for your coffee then, Lance.
Number 4, Water Commissioner's hat again,
Thank you,
continue.
everybody.
Yeah,
Continue.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Water Commissioner, can you do consideration of a loan documents of DWSRF loan RF 3477 3.0 related to the Pine Street Water Line Replacement Project.
Yeah.
Review of the draft letter to the Governor Scott and his administration.
Well,
Consider.
you read way more than I would read.
Well, reading it right to-
This loan document.
I know.
So we've got two things, the loan document that you had seen before for $780,000 over 30 years. It's right here.
If we sign that, we're locked in.
Correct. Unless for some reason somebody reissues it and refinances it or something, but.
I don't think they're changing their mind, no matter what we do.
So we have it's a 0% interest loan, but we have the administration fee,
It's really
It's
a
not-
2%.
It's a 2%.
It's 2%.
which is the administration fee. That's what
But
they
it's
call
really
it.
an interest.
Yeah.
It's an interest
Okay.
rate. Yeah, it's a short
Okay.
game.
Do we know and maybe we discussed this previously and I've forgotten.
Bye, Lance.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for your help. In terms of the water district users, this is obviously added in to what they're paying.
Jill, can you stop sharing your screen, please?
You can probably kick her off if you're ready, yeah.
Thank you.
With that computer. How is the payment divided among the district users? Is it divided by the amount of water that the district user uses, or is it just per user?
I think it's just per user, isn't it?
It's the amount of water they use, so whatever the increase is, based on the amount of water you use, would be what you pay.
So this isn't like we're saying loan payment, this is
So much per user, no.
so much per
Yes,
user,
no.
that's not how we're doing it.
It goes
To
in the
my
operating
knowledge,
budget,
it
each
goes
payment
in,
every
yeah,
year.
and then it's done by rates.
Sharon,
Wow.
you know,
What was the question?
So it's $34,000 a
Every
year.
year.
How is that divided amongst the, however many? how
the
many-
water users. When you do a
It's not,
bill.
it's not per user, it's per usage. Is that
Well,
correct?
We sell the gallons of water by the meter. The 34,000 goes into the budget. So instead of a $230,000 budget, if it is, it's 264,000. And you
Okay,
divide that by the number of users per the gallons we sell.
okay,
Divide that by the number of gallons.
Gallons we sell, sorry.
okay.
By the, yes, I
Um,
believe that's
and
our
do we have-
calculation.
Do we have a number of what?
Yeah,
Well, I guess
that's what
it's gonna
Just
be
on
different.
ERUs.
Well, it depends on what you're talking
ERU,
about.
it's,
So if you're taking the $34,000 and you're saying what is the most equitable way to divide it up among your water district users, is that what you're asking me? It would be to base it on the ERUs, which is right now, a 2-bedroom house is 1 ERU. Every bedroom over that, according to the ordinance, is an additional ERU. I have additional information that is not to be shared in public session, but if we went into executive session, I can certainly share with you part of the issues that we're having with our ERUs.
Okay.
Well, also, there's a caveat to that, because without the system doing the calculation, we can't determine what a bill will be, because there's also, if you go over 100 gallons a day, it's a different rate
Okay,
than if you're under.
right, so we don't, I'm asking as a water district user, I was just curious what my bill would go up to, but it's for every user is gonna be different. Because it's based on.
I would recommend that we
The way we
don't
do it
that.
here, right?
Don't do ERUs.
We would have to use ERUs because somebody like Matt Dingler, who has a leak, is going to end up paying exorbitantly more of his.
No, because his
No,
leak
it's
is
before the meter.
before the meter.
Oh, okay, sure. So anybody that's leak is after the meter, which we do have some leaks that are after the meter, they're going to be paying more if we do it based on percentage of use. It would be equitable to say,
I think,
But they are using the water.
I think,
right, but that's saying that Stan Livingston is gonna pay for his home or his dwelling on Plank Road that pulls water.
Make it away.
I don't feel comfortable sharing the rest of this
Right.
without executive session, because it's gonna put the town at a liability.
Mhm.
Okay,
well,
so to be discussed.
to me, I,
So wait, I'm just curious, if you do it, whatever way you do it, it's gonna change the rate we have to charge.
100%,
For
it's either gonna
those
be a flat rate based on
right.
your area, or it's gonna be a percentage based on
Percentage,
your water
right.
use.
And this is one of the things we'll be talking about in the next coming meetings to prepare for our annual meeting and the budget discussion.
Okay.
To me,
An
this isn't the
adjusted,
very first,
modified, rate schedule to deal with all of this.
yeah, this isn't the first water line we've had replaced, and it's always been, the payment's been built into the budget as an expense.
Right.
And then, okay, we set the rate based on how much we need to raise
Debt
for money
service.
and debt service and all that.
All
We've
the
got
other
like 4 or 5 of them. We've still got.
Okay,
See that? Why couldn't they give us that 15 cents at the beginning? Why do they make us go all the way to the end to get that 15 cents?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
So you won't consider a flat rate? That's what we have in Virgin's, every 3 months. Unless you go over, it's the same amount.
And I think that,
Well,
Don't we have a flat
I
rate?
was gonna
Don't we
say,
have a
no,
minimum,
it's
we have a
variable.
minimum, we have a minimum use.
We have, it's a variable rate, everybody, unless you use the exact same amount and you're read on the exact same day, your bill might be $2 or $4 more than the
'Cause he
one that
used
was read
25.
2 days before.
so do they
If you
read
use
your
100
meter?
Yeah, they do, but we have drive-bys.
Mhm.
But
Well, why do they bother reading your meter? Well, they do if you
Well,
use over, if you go over.
And then
So
you have
we-
the ones that if you're over 65, then you can get a reduced
Reduced
rate.
rate.
I thought maybe I'm all wet. No
You
pun
are.
intended. But I thought our water was based on minimum use. I remember when I used to pay, it was $67 every 3 months,
Yeah, that's what.
unless I went over. Then I paid more.
Right.
That is still true.
Like
So
people,
here,
Well, it's
so.
not 67.
No.
Well,
Well, he's just dating himself.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, there's a minimum use, so up to X amount of gallons, you pay the same amount every 3 months as long as you don't go over it.
Unless you're over 65, then you can get a rate reduction.
No, and it also
Not here.
depends on how many
Again.
days in
Oh,
between
can't
the
do.
last
No,
rate,
not here.
whereas we're on a true quarter. We are not on a true quarter here. Sometimes
Yeah,
we
just
read,
depends on when you read.
yeah, so
95
I might
days.
read yours and 5 days later, a different person has the same amount of usage, but they've got more days, so their bill's gonna be less than yours.
Right. I mean, is it worth investigating moving to a system that, like Regen's has? Are there benefits to that? Does it benefit us? I mean, we need to have bigger discussions about the water.
It's more money.
Whole.
Oh, yeah.
All more money.
They you guys checked into that a while ago about doing that.
A few years ago, we did.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's more
I mean,
money?
To put, to.
Change all
the
the-
To put all the
meters.
meters. Okay.
Gotta change every meter, 600.
Okay,
What I do like about Middlebury's system is they can call me, or I can look on my phone and call, boy, I got, in 5 days, my usage went from 100 gallons a day to 500 gallons a day.
Right.
Check the toilet immediately. I can check that. I can't do it here. Gotta wait for 90 days for the reading,
based on our meters, right?
based on our meters.
And Jill and I did look to replace, Jill, and you can definitely correct me, to replace all of the meters to that type of meter would be 280,000, Jill, was that?
That's just materials. You also would
That's
need,
just materials?
yeah, that's just the meters. They're about, I think they're $350. So what Middlebury has,
Changing.
I've talked to their superintendent of water quite a bit. I sat in class with him for 6 weeks. So they have smart meters, mostly smart meters, and now they're moving to smart hydrants. It's pretty sweet. So the water system and each of the users, by way of purchasing the meter, have 20 years of software support, both the water system and the user. So there's a website that you can go to. You can see the use as it's occurring. And it sends out, it's a different type of meter. It's a different metering system. But it's pretty intelligent, and it's kind of neat because if you have the smart meters throughout your entire system, you're always seeing the use. So if there's a peak anywhere, you can see it. And if you have the smart hydrants, you can compare mathematically the services between the hydrants. Because it can read the flow going by the hydrants. It's some kind of neat, cool thing. And tell where your water leaks are too in your distribution system versus usage in your services. So it's pretty great the way that technology is moving. It's just it's a bunch more money. Like the hydrants, a regular hydrant's about 4,500, a smart hydrant is about 6,000. So for 1,500, you get a lot more. That additional 1,500, you get all that extra data and technology.
Any grant funding available for something like that?
Oh, there's 50% forgiveness. Until you put it in, then, oh, we're not gonna pay for it.
Those guys.
I think we got other
Yeah.
things to solve before we get smart meters, like
We
trying
do.
to get our usage under 40% leakage or 50%
I know.
leakage.
I know.
Well,
I
I
was
think
thinking-
We're working there.
This
We're working.
this will be a valid conversation to continue in the next few meetings that we have related to the annual water and sewer district and the budget and the capital budget. And if we want to seriously consider this, then we should articulate that in the capital budget to plan ahead.
Yes.
We're getting off subject with the
Right.
draft letter to the governor and stuff, so I'm trying to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there any more questions from us about what we have to sign?
Well, the question, two things, are you comfortable, are you ready, do we feel that we need to sign the loan, or do you wanna wait?
Are we
still?
pissed off about it? Yes.
Do
Do
you
we
want,
have a choice? Probably not.
do you still wanna proceed with a letter to the governor? There are a couple of
Yes.
different versions.
Well, so in Steve's comments, he talked about what the letter is trying to do.
Right.
Are you trying to get the governor to make changes to this or help us with that, or are we just informing
Yeah.
him and his office
Right.
about what's happened in this particular case?
I mean, I don't think we're trying to make changes to our current situation, because I don't think that's gonna happen, but I
Well,
think we're
that's- that-
trying to
but-
get him to
but
make
I would
changes.
But the letter could be.
I would leave the door open
Well, oh, yeah.
if he chose to pursue it. I did, in reading through both of the letters, I thought Steve was right. It seemed like there was a lot of redundant stuff in our first letter where we kept going back and mentioning the same thing. And personally, I think even simpler is better, to the point where, we're in this situation, this is what happened.
Like, you mean like bullet points of this date
Yeah.
happened this date happened
No,
that, not
I-
get into expansion or?
I don't think you wanna get into expansion. I just think we wanna make it clear what happened.
Yeah.
That we applied under the assumption that we were gonna get 50% forgiveness, and
Actually, the belief. It was not so much an assumption, but a belief. We
a
verbally
belief that we were
Yeah.
gonna get this forgiveness, and we
Yeah.
continued, and we were very competitive in our bid. We did certain things to keep our number down. And we feel we're being penalized.
And we feel we're being penalized, because we kept our number down.
But I don't think, I think if we can keep it to one page, because I do agree with Steve, it was, as I'm reading on, I'm reading on, and I just.
Mhm.
I mean, it's also good to have those just because we have the details of what happened in a longer form, but then we can.
But we can tell him if he wants more information. We can, we have all the information if he wants more.
Mhm.
I just think, personally, I think that short and sweet,
Mhm.
hit our points. Let him know that we're disappointed, let him know that we don't feel that it met his initiative.
Well, that's a good one, yeah.
And just see where it goes.
Okay. It'll take me a little bit to revamp that for your signature.
Because
I think the letter is great, but but to Steve's comment,
No,
you know,
I totally
as,
get it. Yeah, no, I completely get it. And I said from the get-go that, you know, a little bit out of my wheelhouse here.
No, I think we're,
So-
I think it's
Yeah.
all very good. I think it's what the direction that we wanted to take.
Because me personally, if we know we've got a bigger picture we want to solve, if we keep coming back, oh, you didn't get anything, I'm not sure I'm willing to stick my neck out for the taxpayers or the water users and saying, oh, we thought you were only gonna double your rates and now they're gonna quadruple because we didn't get any money, but we did $14 million worth of work and we thought we're gonna get $7 million of it paid for. And we thought.
and it's the state that wants us to do this. I mean, at the rate
Aren't they
we're going.
requiring
at
us to
the-
do it?
At the rate we're going, we'd be further ahead to pay for the water loss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the unfortunate truth is it would be cheaper for us to pay for the water loss than it would be to upgrade our system.
I'm having trouble understanding that.
Uh-huh.
I'm having trouble.
Pumping more, using more
If we're
electricity.
using more water and electricity than what we're actually getting paid for, in the long run, we're probably cheaper than
Okay.
paying the interest and all the
Gotcha.
loan.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so another revision on the letter, but the loan document, are we signing that tonight? I guess we're
I'd
signing.
like to hold off on that until.
I mean, if we're still
It's taken them 2
financially
years.
solvent, I would hold off. I mean, it's just it's our money, right? It's our money that we're sitting on. We didn't borrow money to.
Well, there is the line of
No, we
credit.
do have a line of credit.
And we have to pay back the line of credit in June. So I'm not sure where the cash flow stands right now.
To pay off
overall.
the TAN note, is that what you're talking about?
Right, and just in general, other bills coming up and payments due for other things. Cause that's
We have
$780,000.
We don't have enough to pay that. We have enough to pay the tax anticipation that we took out, plus our school payment, plus keep the ship afloat until our next tax payment.
Which won't be until October,
Yep.
September.
November.
November 15th, but yeah.
I mean, if we're not, what are we paying? So we have the money to pay the tax anticipation notice, so we won't be paying interest on the money.
I guess.
Well, are we paying 5% on that? On that line of credit?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
My
we're paying
Only
interest
what
on it.
was used.
Yeah.
200 and something thousand.
Yeah, so it's not,
My question is if the governor agrees with us and says, you know, hey, and whoever it was, water commission, relook at this. They were promised a lot and they got nothing except egg on their face. And say, well, they've already signed the note and it's already started paying, so we can't,
yeah.
that's what
I mean, that's what I don't, at the very least, I'd like to see 0% interest. I mean, but will we? I don't know.
Yeah.
But if we don't try, we know we won't.
Right.
Right, if we sign that now, then we're locked in.
So I think if we're solvent and.
Took them almost 2 years to get us the document. I think we need another month.
Well, that's another thing that should be mentioned in the letter was that
Well,
information
that-
wasn't timely.
All right,
Okay,
thank you. Give it a go.
clear
We're
as,
getting there.
clear as dirty water.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
okay.
that.
Water and sewer commissioner preparation for the upcoming annual water and sewer annual meeting, including budget preparation, ordinance revisions and schedule.
Right, so we hit on some of this already in our earlier conversations. And we have budget stuff to talk about, which this loan clearly relates to. We have these repairs coming up, which the budget clearly relates to. The merger document requires a 15-day notice for the public hearing, which means if we're gonna aim for a June 10th public hearing, the notice needs to go out next week to the newspaper. So I'm suggesting that we aim for a June 10th public hearing. And I'm also suggesting that we have a special meeting at least on June 3rd. I don't know to what degree at your next regular meeting, which is at the end of May, we'll have room to talk about some of these other things. Maybe we will. But we still have a lot to talk about before that June 10th public hearing. And I just think
Is that gonna be, the public hearing, is that gonna be the water meeting?
water and sewer.
Or could we have it on the 24th?
Could, and quite likely it'll continue to the 24th anyway, just because they always seem to. They seem to be, we warn the meeting for one day and then we continue it to the next meeting, just because there's a lot to cover. Or questions come up, or, you know, other things to follow up on before making final decisions.
So by June 24th, even if we have a first one at 10th and then the 24th, if I'd hope we know by then you're gonna get some money, get some relief. Or,
Right.
nope, you gotta pay $35,000 a year for the next 30 years,
Right.
then we can set the rate.
Yeah.
We're
yeah,
gonna have to set the rate
Right.
for the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think
June 1st.
before that June 10th public hearing, we're gonna wanna go through some scenarios and look at different rate structures to see what is most appropriate, and also do some projections. Knowing what this loan amortization schedule is, and then just do some, and we've been advised that we will qualify for the 50% reduction with the future phases, because
Mhm.
we will have.
Provided we don't spend too much.
Well, with this debt service now, this debt service of $35,000, $34,000 a year puts us over. So, makes us eligible for the next ones.
Well, right at this point.
Yeah, today, but anyway.
That's what they told us when we started this process
Mhm.
before.
Right, that's
And
what I mean.
On the West Street project.
So I'm suggesting that we plan on an extra meeting. And I'm suggesting it be June 3rd, because I don't know how ready we will be to really have anything substantive to talk about before then.
What date was that?
I'm suggesting June 3rd. It's a Monday.
Are you saying, so you want us to meet June 3rd, June 17th, and June 23rd?
Well, the
24th,
10th
or-
is the regular meeting.
Right. Mhm.
June
And,
3rd, 10 and 24.
yeah.
But we're also talking about moving the 27th meeting.
Yeah, that's another
That's
agenda
the week-
item,
that's the week
but it's
before.
related. You know, we can do that now. Because the next select board meeting is on Memorial Day. And if it works with people's availability, I would recommend that it be moved to Tuesday, the 28th.
Is the hall free or is that planning commission?
Nope, their planning commission is first
It would be
Tuesday.
Development Review Board if
Development
there was,
Review Board.
if there was a meeting, which we don't know at the moment.
Okay, so we wanna,
I'm okay.
and
with
we're
it.
still on number 5, so
Mhm.
we're gonna work on the budget and operation and you're gonna meet again. Well, we decide later if we're gonna meet 27th and 28th, but we're gonna have probably a special, just water commissioner
Water and
meeting
sewer,
for June 3rd.
correct. Just as preparation for the June 10th public hearing. Even though technically, when public hearings are noticed 15 days in advance, whatever material should also be available at that time to allow the public to review it. But we'll do the best we can to make available what we have.
Okay.
Okay.
Is everyone good with June 3rd?
And
We don't have any
hopefully it'll be a quick.
Vacations planned.
focus. Yeah.
Fingers in the
Okay.
pit, that's it.
All right.
Okay. But we don't need a motion for 5 anything, so it's just discussion.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, number
Consensus to not, the consensus.
Working on it.
Yeah, is to hold up on the loan document and proceed with a revised version of the letter,
Yeah,
which I'll send around.
That sounds good.
Number 6, continue review and a possible approval of the updated and revised revolving loan fund policy guidelines and application material.
Okay.
Michelle, you had a quick email on it.
I put select board meeting every single day of the month. Okay,
Just
go ahead
copy
and
and
modify
paste
that.
all that for-
Okay, so for the most part, these are done. I have 2 things that we need to decide on, or, yeah, 2 things. The first one's probably gonna be the easier of the 2. So in the old documents, there was this 0.5% fee, closing fee. And it didn't say to who, to what, to where. And according to everybody I've talked to, that was never paid to anybody. I wound up
Was
calling.
it collected?
No, it was never
Okay.
collected,
Okay.
that I know of. So I called Community Bank to find out if they could tell us, and they had to reach back into their archives, since it's been so long since we started this. They said they've never charged a closing fee. They've never been paid a 5% or 0.5%. What they do is, they get the loan documents, they service the loan and charge us a service fee. So my suggestion is we just take that 5.5% out of there, since nobody's paying for it. Or we charge it and say, okay, that's the administration fee for us administering the loan, having to collect it if we have to collect it, you know, following, whatever it takes our admin to, the treasurer, whoever
It doesn't
to.
seem logical to have a percentage of the loan amount because
I
it's
just thought
so
it was weird.
variable, but the costs are fixed.
Yeah.
They are
it's
what they
weird.
are. So it shouldn't depend on the value of the loan.
Eliminate it.
Okay.
But,
That's my thought.
Yeah.
but if
Maybe
they're
they-
charging us a fee, community banks,
Yeah, but that
Is
gets
that
passed
fee-
on.
does it?
I don't know.
I thought there was a clause in there that they had to pay all the fees.
Well, yeah, okay, so let me get rid of this here.
Do you want to share screen at all?
No. The other thing is we are charging, yeah, and the closing costs for any loan under this program, this is what it says, are the applicant's responsibility, including any closing fee to the bank, prepaid interest, title search, appraisal, credit report, recording, and other miscellaneous costs. The applicant may include these costs in the requested loan amount. So they're paying basically for everything, okay? We did, at the time we were doing this, we were talking about completing the application revolving fund and paying a non-refundable application fee. And we had it like at 1%, and we kind of changed it to a flat fee. So we had thrown in there $125, but we said we'd come back and reevaluate that, whether we think that was sufficient. You know, I mean, if we're paying our treasurer to have to administer this, and call people when they don't pay or whatever, is that enough money? I mean, it's a 5-year loan, which usually winds up being a 10-year loan.
Where do I get one of these loans?
Good one.
I mean, that's, to me, that's cheap.
125 come from, did we discuss it with you, Sharon, when we were talking about, I mean, we've been talking about this for quite a long while.
We've only done a couple since I've been.
Right. Okay. I mean, it's 125, does that seem?
Seems cheap.
It does?
Well, it depends. If you're an applicant, it could seem
Right.
expensive.
I mean, it depends on, like, if
And
the loan is
especially-
$5,000 versus $30,000,
Yeah.
that's why they had at the time, they had a percentage. We thought, well, that's not really quite fair, but
Right.
But it has to cover our costs. We can't be. out-
losing money.
Yeah, we can't be out doing this. So it's, I mean, it's not like we're charging $1,000 to do it.
Right.
But I
We
think
can't be losing money. What happened to that
I
70
know.
grand?
if we.
There's more out there
if we-
we're probably gonna lose.
Can I bring that up? So you're saying you think the 125 is cheap?
I think it's cheap, but
Okay, is
I
there
mean, that's-
150,
I don't
175?
know. I
Like,
mean,
what would be?
what do you pay a bank for an application fee? What's National Bank of Millbury charge?
I don't know, what am I paying for mine? Cause I talked to Fred the other day about.
Mm-hmm.
another
Applying.
project,
Mhm.
And he had more restriction, I just said, never mind it.
Mhm.
I believe a bank's is percentage, I don't think it's a
I
flat.
don't think it's flat fee.
I think it's based on the loan you asked
No.
for.
I could ask tomorrow.
Mhm.
Get back with him,
Mm.
but I think it ought to be a couple hundred at least for a fee. I mean, if you take a 10-year loan, you've gotta call every 3 months.
Yeah, hopefully you don't. I even asked the bank, I
Every
said, do you
6
guys
months.
send out invoices, with payment? I'm assuming they don't. They don't, we do that?
They don't have invoices. We've never sent it.
Nobody.
So how do they know to pay? Do they just automatically pay?
Yeah, they're
One.
supposed to make a monthly payment. It's in part of
They
their
don't get a bill?
documents. No,
They don't get a bill.
no.
It's the, I mean, I wish I was part of this conversation, but it is the weirdest way to lend money.
Mhm.
Because there's no bill that goes out, they just have to remember to pay. And the coming in at 5 years to re-up to a 10-year, nobody discussed that with any of the current people. So some of them are paying just because that's the right thing to do, but their loan was invalid 2 years ago because they didn't
Right,
come
and
in
we-
to do.
And we've had discussions about that.
Right,
at
and
other
so
meetings.
I hope that we're not putting that back in the new contract because.
It is that way.
That's silly. We're not a bank, we're trying to function like a bank, we're a town. And if we're saying you can have a loan for 10 years, but you have to come in at 5, that's the craziest waste of time. Just give them a loan for 10 years. Because
I think the biggest reason they did that was because of the percentages, the interest rates. That goes up
We
or
could
down,
adjust it.
we can adjust the interest rates.
I was
For them.
confused, Justin, you're saying, so we told you you can have
You
$10,000.
do a 5 year, you do a.
Balloon.
5-year balloon.
5-year balloon and then.
It's amortized over 10.
But you could at zero, you paid it off at year 5.
No, you can come in and if you don't, they pay it up through 5 years and they don't have a balloon payment, so then they come in and have it amortized over the next 5 years.
And everybody does it. And so it's just like they're getting a 10-year loan from the original set, except it's a whole heck of a lot of paperwork.
And more money,
Can we,
because they have to pay all the closing fees again.
If they come in to do it,
No.
nobody's coming to do it. That's the problem.
They
Because
just
Jen,
keep paying.
yeah, I guess I shouldn't talk about people's names, but
No, I mean, I know the one you're talking about who was, she did, we went up, coming in and we revamped her loan.
can we,
during the 5 years.
can we go through one more revision of this and have
At
the
mine.
treasurer perhaps
Sure.
look at this?
I mean, it's only been 3 years, so
What's the rest?
it's another month.
I think it would probably be
Yeah,
better. for
no,
us
I have no
one-
problem. I mean, the whole
Okay.
point was to have like Sharon and the treasurer look at it and
They have to
just
deal with it.
busy.
They're
They were
on the,
busy.
they have to deal with it.
I mean, that was
Not
during
us. We
COVID
just
and
passed
stuff and things
Yeah.
were just nuts.
It's just something that's fallen off our radar and we just continue to.
And
push it
the
off.
transitions a lot,
Yeah,
and
I
so
know.
much transition.
and I don't think it's an emergency, right? Like this is one of those documents that's
Yeah,
not
we
an
don't have
emergency
somebody calling
document.
every week.
No.
Right.
Or every month.
No.
Where the
I
water.
mean, the last one we did, I think, was recycled gravy.
We just hope
No,
people keep
Chris,
paying us.
Chris,
The Sports.
Oh, school
Cool
budget
motion.
board.
Yeah.
Cool motion.
CMOS.
Sport, yeah.
Okay, so another.
Another revised.
yes,
Okay.
I will
Move
send it to
along.
you.
Sorry.
I already did forward them to Justin.
Okay, great.
Okay, considering an alternative date for the select board next meeting,
Tuesday,
Tuesday, the 28th, sounds good to me,
I don't
right?
know why we're not doing it Monday.
Memorial Day.
So what? We did it for the past, every time I've been on this board, we've
It's
done
always
it
been
Memorial Day. Because everybody
because-
says we don't have
because
anything going
employees
on.
can't take a long weekend if they have to be here.
I will.
And I actually might not be there, so.
You- okay. I'm
That's
fine with
really
it.
the reason.
I know I'm on par that, I know I'm on par that day, but I'll be here.
Okay.
Michelle might have to start. but- Okay, number
So
8,
that's the, wait, so we're doing the
28th. We don't need a motion, I guess, just.
I have
All right,
28.
so Tuesday's good for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
7?
Oh, wait a minute, let me check the dots.
Yeah. Review and approval of February
Tuesdays.
12th, February 26th, April 1st, April 8th, April 15th, and April 22nd, 2024 meeting minutes.
I was able to get out
Dots on that
the
one.
April 1, 8, and 15.
I haven't read any of them, but that doesn't mean anything. Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve those 3.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, to approve April 1st, 8th, and the 15th of 2024. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Abstained?
It
Okay.
sounds like Carol's working on the
Yep.
previous years. Okay.
Accounts, authorized accounts payable warrants and a liquor license. I did see some of them in here. Uh, 100, the pay orders are $100,455.41.
Is that the latest one? We sent? Is that the-
It's on the side tonight, so. I hope so. And then I don't know where the liquor license is.
Class 2 license
The
or?
class 2 and
No,
class
we
one.
have
Got
a
it.
first class, a third class, and an outside consumption. It's all for mini factory. And for the outside consumption permit, we currently told liquor control for this last year that they could only have their stuff out May through October, because they're one of the ones that did not have confirmed time that they could have their stuff out. We also want to do the condition of they have to bring their stuff in during the winter. They can't leave it outside because it interferes with snow plowing.
Start meeting their stanchions, things like that.
And,
chairs.
yeah,
Nothing to be on the sidewalk from.
yeah, they're the
November
only
1.
ones that leave their shit out. Sorry, their stuff out.
Their stanchions and chairs out.
Try to clear that up a little.
I mean, they
Like
may
you
not,
should.
they may not know that they have to bring them in.
And I-
No, Eric
No,
has
I
mentioned it
thought
to him
so.
before,
Okay.
and he's
And
not got a
what
very
is-
good
what is
response.
Eric's plow's
What is
bigger
these
than this.
said?
and just
Uh,
for-
What is the said? What do
They
say?
bring them in at night and they put them back out during the day. And I told them that they need to be moved for plowing, and so we went out and measured for the plow, and if you put the chairs out and the stanchions out, the stanchions are right up against the chair.
Yeah.
They can't sit there, and then,
Just, they gotta pull them in November 1st.
yeah, November
You can't
1st.
park on the street, you can't park on your butt on the sidewalks
So,
on Main
and
Street.
he's
And everyone else pulls their stuff.
yeah, everyone
Yes,
else
everybody
does, they're the only ones that have stuff out on the sidewalks during winter.
And And summer sidewalks, they can only have half of it,
Well,
It's a block. Thank you.
block, one block of the sidewalk.
right, and usually theirs are,
Not,
they're
not the
crowded,
tables on the block, and then the
They're
chairs are out on the second block.
but, yeah.
I mean, I think all the restaurants do that. Snaps does that too. They're on.
They're out,
Yeah.
they're crowding, so when
Yeah.
people go walking, they gotta kind of go
Yeah,
around. My biggest concern was plowing.
okay.
And not,
I mean, if every other business takes theirs in or stores them, they should as
the
well.
last time when I did talk to her and I explained it to her and I said, she didn't really agree with me. I said, well, the next time he comes through, if he hooks up one of your stanchions, he's gonna just drag it down the road.
Boy, you and Sharon are on a roll.
Yeah, I don't think we should be threatening the business owners.
Are you,
but, yeah, let's
You and
make sure.
Sharon taking your.
It wasn't threatening her, it was
Are
just
you guys,
threatening
you guys ride,
I was telling her what.
do you
It was
two,
gonna happen. Equipment. You know very well.
do you two ride together to anger classes?
But anyway, so, yeah,
Yes,
so,
but I think that's fine. I think I'm fine with that stipulation.
Yeah.
I think they should abide
Okay.
by that, and we should, is there someone who will let them know that that's been put on their license? How does that?
Yes,
How-
because the state, I let the state know.
Okay.
And they know that it's there, so if we have issues with them, we can go to the state and say, they're not complying with the conditions that we put on
Okay.
there.
Pull their license.
And we can pull their outside consumption
Okay.
license.
I think that's fine.
Okay,
So moved.
okay,
Second.
all right, so there's a motion, a second, to tobacco licenses, and Sharon signs it, so we don't need a or actually a motion.
No, we do need a motion.
For those, yes, all those in favor for those manufacturing licenses, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And those are all liquor, who's the tobacco, it's just tobacco.
I don't have any tobacco.
Yeah.
Oh, it said tobacco or tobacco licenses.
Yeah.
Select board roundtable, Michelle,
I'm good.
Ian,
As I emailed, board members, the Howden Hall sign is completed.
Nice
and up.
job.
I haven't been by.
Good. So that's done, which is nice. That's one project to knock off. I mean, a small one, but one I've been working on for a while. And then, update on the EV charging. So I've been meeting with various people. I met with Parmelo in terms of looking at that location. I've talked to Tom Wells about the location, behind, Prince Lane. I've also met with Green Mountain Power and about where we can pull 3-phase if we're applying for the 3-phase. EV charging. I've also met with Norwich EV, who we worked with previously for the level 2 charging. So current status is for the level 2, it seems like we're going to hold off on accepting that grant, which was the 20,000 from us and 20,000 from the grant to do level 2. Norwich, the chap I spoke to at Norwich EV feels that if we get the level 3, level 2 probably won't be used. And I wouldn't want to put that in somewhere and have it just sit there and have a waste, have 20,000 be wasted. So we're gonna hold off on that. The level 3, I found out more information because it was kind of a bit confusing. The town has no financial commitment for the level 3. It's solely being handled by the state and specifically Green Mountain Power and the vendor that you choose to represent your town. And that vendor works with either the town, if it's gonna be on town property, or if it's on private property, what?
We'll let them in with 50% forgiveness. Until they get it installed and then they'll tell them they don't qualify.
I wish. So it's either they work with the town if it's town property, or they work with private property owner if it's private property. The town has no other involvement other than that. Looking at our locations and our previous discussions, I would recommend that Norwich works either with Parmelo or with Tom Wells for that application. And I've met and we've sort of discussed the options. The amount of equipment that needs to go in the location isn't suitable for the town green. It's big refrigerators essentially. Exactly, it's those things, but more because you also need the transformer and things like that, which they can't put on the poles. Because I think there's too many things there. So I don't think it's gonna work on the town green, so that's fine. We all were concerned about that. The best location seems to be the old Mountain Greens building on Mountain View. Because the 3-phase transformer is actually behind Shaw's. That's the one that can be used. They can't pull anything off of the pole that's in front that we talked about because there's too much stuff on it. They don't want to touch that. but GMP thinks that they can use the transformer back there, so if it's at Tom's location, it's actually the shortest distance, which means the cheaper application. Also, Tom's on board, and so Norwich is gonna work with him, possibly creating 4 new spaces for maybe 4 charges, if Tom is okay with that.
On Mountain View,
Correct.
but
Which
they're
would
gonna
be-
use the transformer
They
behind
would,
Shaw's.
they would pull from that, put a new transformer in on Tom's land. You would provide a lease agreement. And so that's how that was doing. So I'll keep you updated. So the town's really not involved at all. There's no money that we need to spend. I know, which is great. I said, that's what the town would prefer.
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
The Shaws and Virgins, they've got huge Tesla ones there now. Are those the third phase one? That's Palmer property.
correct. That is Parmelo.
Did they discuss that at all, how they did?
They worked with Parmelo to get the lease agreement. According to GMP, because the Tesla supercharger infrastructure unit, most of those people were fired. That project is ready to go online, but they literally have lost the ability to talk to anybody about that project.
Yeah, because they're all sitting there.
Correct. And
And then
they're
they
gonna
must
sit
be-
there for the next however many, whatever days before people are rehired back to then put that online, I think.
But the other ones that are in town, that are across from the National Bank of Middle Battery, I'm assuming they've got that whole parking lot dug up because they're having to put in infrastructure to charge, make those.
No, that's in, what they're putting in there now is some, kind of like a drive up. Also, you see the big excavator in the yard.
No, the whole side part is gone. I had to put my water payment in the bank
Yeah,
slot.
they're having
in
a
order to
drive
get
up there. They're doing
So I
something.
was like, are they having to dig this all up? Cause they have to put in power or whatever underground for those things, or?
The
I
power's
didn't know
all
why
in.
they were
You're
digging
all
it up.
gonna light up when you come from Virginia. Glow when you go around.
So the Teslas are level 3, so there's 3 phase there in some area, and there's probably a large box, which is the transformer.
Well, I think there's at least two. There's at least one big one. I was thinking.
There's 2 big ones.
Yeah.
I got pictures of them. There's 2 big
Yeah.
ones. And then all the,
But that's
All
what
those
ours
things
would
that
look
go-
like, but they would be behind, hopefully, if it all goes well, on that property. 4 new spaces would be created, you'd be able to access those on your app, get there, and then we would maybe, possibly town involvement would be to try to figure out a better way to get people to that area, through the alleyway between. And again, it's Parmelo land, but I don't know how we would be involved, maybe not, maybe it's just an agreement with Parmelo to put up some signs, or we're allowed to put up signs, that type of thing, so. That's where we're at the moment, but it seems very positive. Talking to GMP, who are making these decisions, Bristol is within the top 10 of towns that are gonna hopefully get this.
We're in this donut.
Yes,
hole.
exactly, and they know that. And I've said, look, we really wanna make this happen, like, how do we do that? But again, it's up to if we have a good application. The fact that we don't have to run very far for a new transformer, I think, works in our favor. It's a safe area, there's lighting, there's a lot of good things about that location, so. That's the update on that.
And you couldn't put it on Shaw's parking lot in the back?
We looked at that, the run from the transformer at the back of Shaw's is still longer, but that was a second case. Because Tom is sort of supportive of this, we were working at first because it's the cheapest.
Way to go.
Yeah, but that is, we looked at that too, running back,
Yeah.
possibly trenching through the grass versus pavement.
Right,
Putting it back there,
right.
there's a lot of truck activity, so, but that was our second choice,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Okay,
is that it?
yeah. that's it.
Figure?
You're gonna love this one. I never get complaints. I got more complaints this last week about the guardrails on hardscrabble. How unsafe they are, how they never had how they never had an accident there, wanting to know why they're there.
Oh, the ones on the corner?
Yeah. It never.
Which corner? That sharp.
Lower Hardscrabble to
Oh.
Hardscrabble.
Is it past where Angel lives?
Yeah. up
That's
down.
right before Sharon Bush.
They've always had.
Untrue.
They've never had a car go off that side of the road. They go off the other side, but they've never gone off of that side.
So what was the
Was that the
complaint?
one where
While walking, there's no way to get off the road if a car comes.
Can't get off the road there,
I
there's
mean-
no guardrails there
I
anyway.
was gonna say, isn't that right where it
It's
drops?
dropped.
Yeah, well, they said at least before they could get off, now they can't get off.
Are we talking?
Right there before Sharon Bushy's.
Yeah,
South of Sharon.
Oh, I thought you meant the corner by where.
The sharp corner.
The truck went
yeah.
out.
No,
Okay.
so
I'm going
I just,
That camera's been off here all the time.
So what do we do with that information? Is
I'm just letting you know, I don't.
Okay.
But you know, it seems,
Something new, they just have to
Yeah.
get used to it.
Now,
but it does, I'll tell you, coming over through there, it does make it feel tight. I don't know if you.
Well, there was two reasons for the guardrails going up there. One is because of the several cars that have gone off the road on that side of the road.
They have?
Oh, yeah. You talk to the older couple that lives in the
Yeah,
trailer.
the one
and
right
There's been
here.
at least 4 or 5 that's gone off in there within the last 3 years.
And you can still see the tire
And
tracks.
you still see the tire tracks. Okay, so that was one reason.
Okay.
The second reason is because, the amount of speed that goes through there, by putting the guardrails up.
Oh, it's gonna slow
Like you
down.
said, it looks like it's narrow now,
Yeah.
and it slows people down.
Yeah.
So them were the 2 reasons why, the guardrails got put in.
So I'm
I'll
gonna have to be
defer
careful
to
riding
you
my
next
bike down there.
time.
Yeah.
But I have an answer for him now.
And you can
Yeah,
still
so
leap
that was-
over it
that
if you
was
have
the
to.
reason.
Yeah, it's just a
The two
long
reasons.
drop off here.
And then I got a comment on the bandstand, which was, you know.
Reach front porch forum, you see a lot of
Yeah,
them.
well, I don't, like I said, I don't typically get calls on those
Yeah.
2 things. I got
Wait,
calls.
I'm curious as to, was that just for people watching the select board meeting, or did Meredith put something
It
out?
was in the Addison.
Oh, it was.
It's in the Addison and
I
also.
was like, why are people all?
My
in ours?
brother-in-law-
I can't believe they all watched that meeting,
Yeah,
because we
no,
weren't
he
even
watched,
making
he
a
sits home
decision,
and
we were
watches it, and
conceptual.
he said that, he started to type a letter, I didn't.
Who
tell
said
him
that? Who?
My brother-in-law, my wife's brother,
Mhm.
was the one that won for him.
Yeah.
I mean, no decisions have been made
Right.
regarding any changes to the bandstand. This was just a concept that was brought to the board.
The idea.
But it's obviously,
It's
Yeah.
it's a
Struck
way,
a nerve.
it's a very easy way to get feedback from the public.
Like I said, I'm glad that Joel is chaired, because the last time something happened on the park, I was chairing, it was not pretty.
Is that
The monument, yeah.
oh, that's right, I remember those
That was
days.
fun.
It's fun.
But the suggestion was made similar to what Doug made of making like a big putting green or a big flat raised grass area for the band to set up on when it's not raining.
Yeah.
But then where does everybody else sit?
You know, I don't have all the answers. I'm just telling you what I was told. Move on, Joel.
Okay.
I guess if 100 people came up for the band and the new one only heard 75, and we build another bigger one, you just limit the amount of people. So, you got any more?
No, I said, I'm
Okay.
good.
Bus stop at Shaw's. I talked to the driver the other day who, Valley Transit, Tri-Valley Transit. And I go, I said, I saw you guys, you don't even pull up to the bus stop. He goes, there's no spot to unload. Cause it's all parking spots. So maybe you ought to reach out to Tri-Valley. And goes, he said, we stop. I said, you stop right in front of the doors of Shaw's. He
Right.
goes, yeah, because it's all marked off, fire exit, you know, and we can stop, people can get on.
Right.
There's nobody, they have to come out between the cars up there, so we don't stop.
So there is, Tri-Valley is aware of that.
Okay.
It was the only location that the bus shelter could be.
Right, I don't
There-
know, but
right,
maybe
so
the
there
Palmer
is-
will cut out a spot.
Well, no, that wasn't something that was discussed with Parmalee, as far as I know. I thought the idea was that the bus would stop between.
Behind the cars?
Well,
Behind the
no,
cars.
it's that area where there isn't the parking,
Oh,
because you're parking
yeah.
behind. It's
In
that-
and out.
Yes,
Oh,
so
when-
that the bus would stop there, but I think.
Walgreens looking.
But I
Right,
think
Walgreens
because
already-
it hasn't officially opened yet as a bus stop, I've seen people using it, but I don't think they're officially doing it because they want to be able to asphalt and stuff. Yeah, that was, unfortunately, it's one of those things where.
We just send Eric over there at night with his white striper and.
Right. But yes,
Okay,
it's something that
and then-
Tri-Valley will be addressing with their drivers, I'm sure.
And then I promised you guys, within 6 months, we will have 10 brand new chairs.
Oh, great.
Or they're they're brand new.
Boy, this is being recorded.
They've already been approved by the bank. Been approved by the bank.
That sounds great.
And then
We have
somebody's
to
gotta
move-
deal,
'cause the
put
new-
these
now,
somewhere.
as you know, the library is gonna move into the town library.
right.
And for 18 months, it's moving into our new close block. And I said, what about those?
Oh, is
10
that why you closed off the?
Yeah, I said, what about those 10 chairs around the community room, the closing table? He goes, I said, the town really needs our select board. We sit on, not a 5-gallon pail, but it's almost close. It's old teller chairs.
Hodgepodge.
And he says, all right, you can have them.
Great.
So,
Well, thank you very
and
much.
that's all I had, so. Town administrators report.
I do have something that I'd like to update folks about that I didn't have time to include in my report. But a heads up about the downtown designation renewal process. Yes, the last time the town had the designation, it was 2016. They're good for 8 years, which means that this year it's up for renewal. With the transition with Bristol Core and the executive director, the vacancy and just a lot happening, we were not able to meet the April 1st deadline for the application renewal. We have an extension to.
You're gonna charge us for the extension of this?
No, we have an extension until, I think, July 1. And it's a draft application at that point. They'll review it and give us feedback, and the final application is due in September, early September. And it's an application that the town needs to submit. So it's a town application, but the folks at Bristol Core and the executive director are doing most of the heavy lifting to put all the pieces together. And it's a pretty sizable, it's quite a project to put this application together. There's a long list of things that are required, one of which is a municipal capital budget and program. I don't know how we've gotten through that in the past. Maybe they didn't require it in this way in the past.
Yeah, it was different.
But now it requires evidence that a capital budget and program have been formally adopted by the legislative body of the municipality. And to my knowledge, Bristol has never done that. And as we've talked about over the years.
Okay, I'm confused. What, we have our capital, we have passed a budget, we have our capital plans.
Right, it's a different process. It's a separate statutory process. Very similar to adopting zoning bylaws or subdivision bylaws. It's a statutory thing. And it needs to follow the same process. The select board needs to have a public hearing. The planning commission needs to be given an opportunity to comment on it. And then the select board needs to adopt it. What's not clear to me is whether, like zoning and subdivision, it requires voter approval. I don't think so. But I think for the purposes of this application, if we provide evidence that it is formally adopted by the select board for the application, I think that will suffice, at least for now. So we have a lot of the pieces to work with. We have the stuff that's in the town report. We have those budgets. We have the spreadsheets that we've been trying to put together, that long spreadsheet that tries to put it all in the same picture so that we can see the complete bottom line and project forward 5 years and see how it all adds up. We have that. And I think between now and the next few weeks or so, Frida and I can put together a document that would be substantially comparable to a capital budget and program based upon what we already have. We just need to put the pieces together with some narrative and some other things and fill in stuff that we've talked about, sidewalks and some other things that we have on the horizon that might not necessarily be reflected in those budgets that are in the town report.
What do we get for this designation? What do we?
The designation?
Yeah.
A lot of different things. So the big thing is historic tax credits. If you're renovating your building and it's in the district, so if it's facade stuff, you get tax credits. It's like 10% historic tax credits, 25% historic tax credits, depending on the cost of the work. There's also, they talk about the 50% code improvement tax credits. You also have access to the downtown transportation fund, funding with that.
Which we're using.
But the first two things you mentioned, the tax credits and this and that
For the businesses.
for the
Get to the
business-
business.
yeah, the businesses know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've taken advantage of it a couple times in the last few years with large renovations. John Moyers, when he bought the building that Honey Lights is in, he received tax credits for doing those renovations. And Core tries to see what people are doing, and if it's a large project, be able to inform people. Yeah.
And the other benefits, the Bristol Core is now getting grant funding through this downtown program to carry out some of its operations. But also, I think more valuable to the town is the priority ranking that comes with it for grant applications.
Yeah.
And we've already benefited from that. The Basin Street project, 3 grants because it's adjacent to the designated downtown, and other, we can creatively connect a lot of the other projects in town to this designated town because it leads to the downtown, and supports the downtown, or we can always make those connections.
I just wanted to make sure that we were getting the bang for our buck, because
Oh, yeah, definitely.
it seems like everything else, I'm bitter about the water line, in case you had no
Oh, I know.
idea.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Yes.
if we're reaching out, if we have to jump through all these hoops for the state,
Right.
we should be getting something back.
No, it's pretty minimal, and I mean, Core is obviously receives an appropriation, it's 10,000. It doesn't, there's no other costs associated to the town because it's a separate nonprofit organization. But
Right.
the advantage, like if that organization went away, I think the town would be very different. I think the projects that we've done, I think the businesses, the health and strength and vitality that they have is related to a downtown group. And I think all designated downtowns, there's like 26 in the state, benefit from that. There's never been sort of financial assistance other than tax credits and grant applications for the actual organization. They've started to do that now. Hopefully that'll continue, because that allows the executive director to have double the hours, which they really need, to be able to do the stuff that needs to be done. Especially, just this renewal application is pretty big. We've gone through it before, so we can do it again.
But it's evolved
Yes.
also. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to report, but also, and I've brought this up in the past about the importance of having a capital budgeting program. Not just for this, but for other grant programs as well, because it helps improve our competitiveness for our other applications. So there are lots of reasons to do it. It's been in the docket for quite a while, and just haven't pushed it over the threshold because there hasn't been a deadline, there hasn't been a push for it. It's just something that it would be good to do.
And we've already done a lot of it anyway with the town plan. So
Yeah.
detailing it here, it says the capital budgeting program is showing a clear plan for providing public infrastructure within the downtown, including facilities for drinking water, public space, wastewater, lighting, stormwater, transportation, including public transport, parking. We're working on all of that.
Right.
It's just a matter of putting it into a succinct document
Right.
to be able to show.
Exactly.
And it benefits us just to do that anyway.
Right.
But it does say evidence that the plan has been formally adopted by the legislative body of the municipality
Right.
and or board of directors of the downtown organization. So,
Well, still, I think it's worthwhile for the select board to do, and I'm
Yeah.
aiming to schedule this public hearing for July 8th, which would give it, it would be able to be on the planning commission's July 2nd meeting, and which means having a draft sometime in June. So just want to give you a heads up that I'll be working on that.
Well, you talked about having capital budgets and that, and that's all well and good, but, I'm not speaking for the board, but I thought we put a budget together in December and January that we weren't 100% sure where the numbers were coming from. Because Nemrick, through the old treasurer, we didn't know whether things got coded right and this and that, so, until we get our ship right, and make sure all the lines are accurate. I don't want to put any more work on anybody else, but, it was hard to do budget last year. I felt it was.
Oh, it certainly was. And this capital budget and program doesn't necessarily need to be that finely tuned, but it's a plan. It's a guiding document, and the numbers will always change. And they could just be ballparks, just placeholders.
Okay.
But as long as there's a list, as long as there's an articulation of what the priorities are, what the needs are, and somebody who can take this document and understand what the town's priorities are. That's the objective of the capital budget and program. And it's a current year and then 5-year projection, so it's really 6 years.
All right.
And we've already got most of it in the town report.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Jill, I had actually one more thing under select board roundtable. How are we doing on our water inventory? I saw the bill in again. How many more we got left to do? To the water.
We still got like 125, so I think we're trying to determine if we should do nights or weekends, because we've tried, and it's also that I think like 80 out of the last 125 are actually landlords that aren't getting back to us. So maybe if we send the list out, you guys may have more contact information for people than we have, because we've done the knocking on the doors, we've hung on the doors, we've called all the places that we have phone numbers for. We've tried white pages as far as calling the numbers that are associated with the names on the bills. So maybe it's time to dig a little bit more into how.
A couple of Saturdays in a row, try to knock some of them out. Hopefully they'll be home. The
Oh.
landlords do much, but
Can you send us that list?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering is you guys probably know, and maybe I should sit down with Justin first. He knows all kinds of people that I don't know.
Yeah, send,
Lifelong resident.
yeah, send us,
22 years of the school, that's right.
yeah, send us the list and maybe I can help with sort of downtown stuff, which may be on the list or maybe not, but we can see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome because I was having a sanitary survey of a water system with the state last week, and I said, boy, I still have over 100 in one of my water systems. You know, we've tried 7 different ways. And he goes, if you can't get it, you can't get it. It's just undetermined, hand it in. I'm like, no, that's like getting an 80 on your test. I want 100. You know, like, I want to get at least full participation or like 99%. So.
All right, thanks. Correspondence, other business, correspondence reports or correspondence received? Anything?
The appraisal went way up.
Yes, and that's as part of the annual water district, the annual meeting, we might want to revisit that question of whether the town wants to continue to own that property.
Well, I still think it's worth owning, but.
What property is that?
But it's in the current use. It's still in current use.
It went from 156,500 to 217,800.
And it's just a wet side hill.
Right.
So just imagine what all the other appraisals went up, because I heard some people.
But it's also in the current use.
I know that we, when I was first on the board, we tried to sell it and the voters said absolutely not.
Interesting.
So,
What were the reasons?
it's just that we're not in the business of selling land.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that was, Peter Ryan was the most vocal out of all of them, so. But I remember that.
Okay.
We brought it up, but that's not to say we can't
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah.
Have to
And if we get
evaluate the cost
$200,000
benefit.
for it, maybe we let it go.
I mean,
Pay the interest on our water bill.
There you go.
right. I mean, if we can't do anything with it.
All we're doing
again,
right
it's
now is we're.
We get a
we're
little bit
renting-
income.
We're renting the taps on it.
We don't know what the tax bill is. That could have been the average increase in Lincoln's assessment. They had a reappraisal.
Correct.
Right.
It might go down and you never know until you,
Yeah.
I don't know what that percentage is up. What was that percentage? So, okay. Any other executive session?
Very brief.
Very brief. Yeah.
Now we're ready for that?
Yep. Go
I
ahead.
make a motion that we enter executive session for 1 VSA section 303 to discuss personnel.
Personnel.
Good night, Justin. Good night, Sharon. Everybody.
He's all right.
Good night.
I don't know.
She says no, so that's good.
We're not inviting you in, so it could be.
Could be. What time tomorrow?
Thank you. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Justin.
Can I just end the meeting?
Yes,
Maybe I'll
please.
come early.